And thank you again for your patience as council moves through our third meeting tonight. The City of Lamarque, the City Council regular agenda of November 14th, 2022. Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Lamarque, Texas will conduct a regular meeting on November 14th, 2022, beginning at 6 p.m. in council chambers at 1109B Bayou Road, Lamarque, Texas, as well as via video conference hosted through Zoom. In accordance with Section 551.127B, the Texas Local Government Code, the presiding officer and a quorum of the Lamarque City Council intend to be and will physically be present at 1109B Bayou Road, Lamarque, Texas. This location will be open to the public and the meeting will be broadcast at this location on Channel 16 and via YouTube. The council will meet for the purposes of considering the following agenda. The meeting has been called to order. Kiara, would you give us a roll call, please?
Councilmember District
Hey.
A. Present. Councilmember District B.
Present.
Councilmember District C.
Present.
Councilmember District D.
Present.
And Mayor.
Present. Thank you. We will now have our invocation from, is it Minister or Reverend Silva or just Brother Silva? Pastor Daniel Silva of Resonate Church, is that right? And that will be followed with our pledge. We were waiting for members of the VFW, but if they do not arrive in the next few moments, we'll ask Councilwoman McAuliffe to lead us in our pledge. Stand if you're able, please.
Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for just the opportunity to come before you, Lord, to be in your presence and to know that you hear us. God, I ask that the things that are spoken about tonight, Lord, would honor you, and that we would have civility in all that we do in our actions, and God, that ultimately that we're invoking you to move on our hearts so that we could be good citizens of this community, and also so that the servants of this community could do the things that please you. We thank you so much for just who you are. We love you in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands liberty and justice.
Thank you, Pastor Silva, Councilwoman McAuliffe. We will now move to our proclamations. Okay. Okay. I believe we have one for Veterans Day, is that right? Pastor Silva, I'm of the understanding that you are a veteran? Yes, sir. Would you come up, please? And receive this? Are you also a member of the VFW? I'm not a member of the. Oh, you're a veteran, yes. That qualifies. Of the ladies, you come on up here. You just come on.
All right.
Good job. High five. Pastor Silva, where are you going? She's a member of the auxiliary. You're a veteran. All right, I'm teasing. But please come. Yes, sir. Office of the Mayor for the City of Lamarque proclamation, whereas throughout our nation's history, millions of Americans have answered the call to serve, committing themselves to their oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And whereas these brave and selfless individuals willing to put themselves in harm's way through abiding patriotism and enduring devotions to the principles of our country is founded on, and inspires all. And whereas the City of Lamarque remembers, honors, and on this day pays homage to all the brave men and women who served in our nation's armed forces, sharing a sense of gratitude for those who have given so much in the defense of the freedoms that we continue to enjoy each and every day. Now be it resolved that the City of Lamarque pledges to strive to ensure that our land remains one worthy of great sacrifice and love. Our veterans have shown for it, and now therefore, we the mayor and city council do hereby proclaim November 11th as Veterans Day. in accordance with the city of Lamarck, and do hereby urge everyone in the community to honor our veterans and rededicate themselves to the preservation of our liberties under the Constitution. In testimony whereof, witness of my hand and the seal of the city of Lamarck on this 11th day of November, 2022, Keith Bell, Mayor. Let's give our veterans a round of applause. Thirdly, we have Kathleen Van Sterben, who is also an employee of the city of Lamarck, and you said you were a member of?
The VFW auxiliary,
Is there a number associated with the VFW?
8248.
8248, and you were a service member in which branch? Navy. So we're honored to have you representing our military, and we're honored to have you representing the VFW. And certainly want to memorialize this. Thank you very much. Now, who do we have? Who are you? Would you take this time? Thank you, ma'am. Let's give our veterans one more round of applause. Thank you, Doctor. Okay, this is a proclamation for the family of Coach Larry Walker. Many of us have known Coach Walker throughout his dedication to young people in our community. Certainly, he was a football coach. He was an athletic director, I believe, a principal at some point, or some sort of administrator within several different educational settings. And as I said before, he was a good man and a great public servant for the city of Lamarck. And we're going to miss him. All of the wonderful things that he's done for the young people of our community is a debt of gratitude that we cannot afford to repay. So we endeavor simply to honor him and to continue his legacy of love and care for our young people the best we can. But you cannot replace Coach Larry Walker, but we will do the best we can to try to continue the standard of Coach Walker. Office of the Mayor for the city of Lamarck, proclamation whereas Coach Larry Phillips Walker entered this life on May 13th, 1948 in Waco, Texas, and whereas his faith played a prominent role in his life from an early age and remained steadfast in his beliefs throughout life. And whereas after graduating from A.J. Moore High School, he continued his education, attending McLennan Community College, Bishop College, and culminating his educational pursuits with a master's degree in education from the University of North Texas, leading to a historic career as an educator, administrator, director, and coach. And whereas he became a local legend after his role in transforming the Lamarck football team into a powerhouse program that competed in 6 straight state championship contending seasons, was named the Texas football 10 best teams in the state in state high school football history, and earned him a spot in the Texas Black Sports Hall of Fame. And whereas his contributions on the field may have made him a local legend, his legacy is shown in each of the productive students and student athletes that he has mentored over the years, many of whom attribute much of their personal successes to the guidance and wisdom of Coach Walker. And whereas the city of Lamarck expresses a deep appreciation for the many contributions Coach Walker has made to our city and the citizens, especially the youth, achieved not only through his career, but also as a long-serving member of the Lamarck Parks Board. And now be it resolved that the city of Lamarck mourns with the family and friends of Coach Walker. And now therefore we the mayor and city council, by virtue of our authority vested by the city of Lamarck, we hereby proclaim today as Larry Walker Memorial Day in the city of Lamarck, and do hereby extend our deepest sympathy to those who knew and loved him. In testimony whereof, witness my hand and the seal of the city of Lamarck this 30th day of September 2022, Keith Bell, Mayor. Would the Walker family please come forward? Do we have a spokesperson or a representative with us tonight? You? Again, our city and our community owe you and your family a tremendous debt. Coach Walker certainly was a family member, and there is no deeper loss than a family member, especially a father. But we lost Coach Walker as well, and we grieve and mourn with you. Things around here will never, ever, ever be the same. So we wanted to share with you condolences And let you know if there's anything that we can do as a city and as a community for you and your family, we are phone call away. God bless you. God bless you. We're gonna have words. Yeah, you can call. We'll have words for welcome.
I just want to say thank you from the bottom of our heart. There's many calls.
Thank you, Scott.
Dad about. He was always saying that he had a meeting at to be at Parks Board, or he had to be city council. And he loved serving the city of Marque from day one. And I thank you for your love and your support for everything. And I know he's honored and I'm honored. And you are like through me and bottom of our heart, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Would y'all give us y'all's name and relation to Coach Walker?
I'm Kate Willis, Willis, I'm Larry's sister.
Very well. Absolutely.
Paul Haskins Jr. Stepson. God bless you.
Thomas Parrish.
Dallas Parrish.
Dallas Parrish.
This is her fault.
Oh, bless you.
I'm Kristen Parrish, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Again, God bless you all. If there's anything we can do as a city and as a community, let us know. Thank you. Thank you, Casey. Our next presentation is staff recognition. Would Susie Koo come up, please? You're being recognized for being fabulous, first and foremost. Susie Koo is our finance director, and she is being recognized from Arizona State University because she has completed the program for certified public manager. Is that right? The certified public manager is a program that many of our city managers and department heads go through. It helps them to understand how to lead governments and take leadership roles within governments. A very, very, very productive program, a very effective program. And Ms. Koo, I am glad that you have completed this task. I believe, Mr. Garcia, you are in this currently, some form or fashion.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Enjoying the homework assignments regularly.
Do we have any other staff members that have completed?
Yes, we recognize former staff that is, I believe, here present. I believe I just saw Miss Patty Reese. Sorry, I'm looking. Miss Patty's here. Also not present, we had Miss Rosemary Bell, Mr. Alex Getty. I know I'm forgetting at least, and Miss Amy Miller, who also completed the program.
Very good. Many of our directors have taken and completed this course. Just to let you know, as taxpayers, they are going above and beyond to make sure that they are equipped with the tools to lead our departments and to lead our city. Arizona State University, Bob Ramsey, Executive Education, confers upon Elizabeth. I did not know that was your name. Elizabeth Susie Koo, the designation of Certified Public Manager for successfully completing the Arizona Certified Public Manager Program as accredited by the National Certified Public Manager Consortium, with all the rights, privileges, and honors thereunto appertaining in the testimony whereof we subscribe our names and affix the seal of Arizona State University, presented this day, this 28th day of October, 2022, Cynthia, I guess that Leeds, Dean of Watts College of Public Service and Community Solutions, and Hector Zelaya, Director of Bob Ramsey Executive Education. Let's give a round of applause for a minute. Ms. Coogan,
Okay,
words?
thank you.
Mhm.
You put me in mask off.
Yes, ma'am.
Been a long while since I stand up here and speak without a mask. Um, Thank you, Mayor Bell, and congratulations on the election.
Oh,
I didn't have a chance to talk to you since then. First of all, I'd like to thank Chief Aragon for approving for me to participate in this program. It's wonderful.
He
program.
was the interim city manager
He was a interim city
when
manager.
you started the program?
Yes.
Okay.
And also thank council continuing to support this program for staff, which has proven to be very effective. It has not been easy for me. It has been a major challenge. In fact, that was the biggest challenge that I had to overcome in my life, even more so than my college degree. And here's why. A year ago, November last year, I signed up for it. Chief Aragon approved. The program started in January. Okay, and then it lasted for about 9 months. From January through the end of September, a lot of things happened. I had a lot of distractions from my parents falling, hospitals, to rollback election, to the biggest challenge of all in the summer, the budget process this year, to the passing of my dad. Every step along the way, there was obstacles. There were times when I wanted to give up. I did. Okay. But there were inspirations in my heart. Thank you, directors, all the directors. You guys were my inspiration to keep me going, along with my Arizona State University team. Here's why. During the budget process, everybody's budget got cut. I recognize that. I am a financial person, but it is not just numbers to me. In every budget process, when you have that kind of a cut, it's the service level that is what's represented in my heart. And for the directors to continue on with that kind of a cut, trying their best to still provide and maintain that service level for the community at very limited or maybe not even enough resources, that is a challenge. You guys didn't quit, continue on. So who am I at home facing all these different obstacles? That kept me going. And the team. And we were told to talk about what we learned and the capstone. Guess what? The capstone for this program was to go through the entire budget process for River City, USA. And I just went through that budget process in July, September, August and September, we went through that budget process. So we started off with $283 million budget. And there was a shortfall of about 16 million. Council started with cutting across the board 25%. So our job as director was to how to save the budget and not to convince council to go that route and listen to us and maintain at least a flat level. I was assigned the role of art and community director. Of course, okay, I love art, okay, and to me that meant something too. In a way, I'm kind of glad that I was assigned that role, because the role that I worried that they would assign to me was the mayor. Thank God they didn't assign me the mayor, okay? The role I really wanted in my heart was the reporter, the news reporter, because I've never been on that other side of the table. And, you know, there's a difference between a director and what we reported to citizens, but that's okay. That was God's plan. I went along with it. Arts and community director, that department is to promote artwork and culture of the community, to bring in outside visitors and keep the community prosperous. Okay. Many councils felt that arts It's just art, and here we are struggling with a recession, with inflation and everything. We need to worry about food. So they started off with wanting to sell the theater and the museum. But guess what? The department I was assigned to can bring in revenues to the whole city, which I did. And we had council meeting Tuesday, Friday, 2 weeks, capstone. All right, so we were strapped with time. And we could only have maximum of 4 budget workshops. Here we had, what, 5, 6, okay? So what can we do as director? We were only given a few hours to work with the city manager. So guess what? I chopped off all the programs. We do all the programs, okay, took advantage of what we had. Convention center, we had 2 convention centers. We had diversification in town. So we came up with different programs to generate sufficient revenues for the community to give to public safety for the things that they need to do. Because if I have outside visitors coming in for convention center and bringing outside cash, I've got to have enough police officers to make sure that the community is secured. So we ended up with a budget by a surplus of $6 million. I worked together with economic development director, with the library director, and the city manager on fine tuning, because council knocked our budget down the first council meeting. So we had to redo everything from scratch. And we ended up with a surplus, and it took only 2 budget workshops instead of 4 to get that budget adopted. We did it as a team. And that was a major undertaking. So what did I learn from all this? I have 2 places. The process that I went through, you will have distractions no matter what your goal is. I just happen to have a whole lot this time, and I learned from it, okay? But no matter what distractions you have, stay focused. When I was working on my capstone, because my team was relying on me in order to pass the budget, I couldn't give up. I stayed focused and keep the team going. We did it together. We got the budget adopted with surplus. When I was helping with my parents, I stayed focused. Every lift was secured and safe to make sure that there will not be another fall, as long as I can help it. So you have to allocate your time, but when you reach the point where you're about to give up, step back and look at the big picture before you make your decision. Not saying don't give up. I'm just saying, step back and look at the big picture, but make the right decision. Whatever decision you come up with, don't look back. Try to think of it as a learning experience for all of it. I learned a lot. Now, from the academic side, what did I learn out of there? We learned critical thinking, and we applied critical thinking during the budget process. What that means is, director, whatever you propose to council during budget, it gets knocked down. Don't give up. Don't feel depressed. They don't understand what we do. That's horrible. Think of it this way. The dynamic of public entities is the fact that you have a lot of input from different fields coming in. We may be specialized in our field. We may have overlooked something because we're so focused into our little circle. This is what we're good at. What about the rest? So if our goal is to serve the public, we need to listen, and I learned to listen with a heart. And we also need to absorb and learn from the others. Maybe we overlook something. Oh, by the way, in order for us to come up with a surplus of $6 million budget, we did increase the water and sewer rate. We did, but we did it. Well, we did it the democratic way where okay, Tuesday and Friday, all right, we had council meetings. In between, we work with the reporters, and we work with council members, and we also work with the city manager. How we can recognize how to meet the different needs, okay? So No, like I said, a lot of things I got out of there. It was very useful. Another thing that we learned was the key performance indicators. Now, this thing here, this diploma, is really not just me. Now, what I want to say is it belongs to the community. I just share with you what we learned because I was told to share with you what I learned. Here's my version. It's not about what I learned. It's about what I can apply, what I learned back to the community. And this is my version. Here's what's coming up, because this is about the community. This is not about me anymore. How can you benefit from this? Some of it will be very obvious through my monthly financial report. May not be that obvious, but I'll try to improve where I can record sound and share with you. This is coming from the program. Some of it may not be so obvious, meaning applying critical thinking to some of the decisions that we make based on unbiased judgment of things. Okay. So off and on, we'll try our best to put it back to the community, because when 10 years ago, when I came back to this town, I came with a grateful heart because I was raised in this community. I graduated from Marque High School. I went to college in the mainland. That was my first job. I learned from there. Had great people working with me. And then, of course, I came to Marque and worked as a city staff in the 90s. So I have nothing but just a grateful heart to this community. So for my remaining time here with the city, I will do my best to apply what I learned back to the community. And if I'm still here next budget process next summer, we will see some of that take place. In fact, this past summer, we already started our first step towards what I learned. Collaboration was another thing. Being transparent, traditionally that was a good thing. But we went beyond transparency. Transparency means what? Government, we decide what we do. We're gonna let you know what we do, right? Yeah. But where's your input? Where are your voices? Collaboration, we listen to what you want. We work together and we apply. How? In the summer, remember the ARPA fund survey? That was collaboration. Council and us, we didn't just decide and then here, this is how we're gonna spend your money.
You're telling them too much, Susan. You're telling them too much.
Oh, am I taking much time? Well, I was told to do one version, so I had another version. So, anyhow, but we'll continue working hard on that. And again, I will try my best to apply it back to this community. And thank you so much for allowing me the time to speak, because it's been a long while since the last time I was standing up here. It's been a long.
And it's welcome.
That's right.
Okay,
It's very
so,
welcome.
God bless you, Steve.
Yes, thank you.
Let's give Susan a round of applause.
Thank you, Susie.
Uh-oh. Susie is a jewel of our department, one of our jewel department heads. Isn't that right, Susie?
Well, hopefully I laugh.
You'll be fine. I'm sure. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are now, I believe, at our public safety presentation, shoplifting report, 2022 shoplifting report. I believe that's Chief Argon.
Mayor Pro Tem, council members and city manager. You have the copy of the shoplifting report. The crime analyst prepared for us. We worked on it together. And Mayor, the last meeting, you had asked me to come up with, where, who's doing the shopliftings and a little bit more. So you see the pie chart there. basically, it starts out with Texas City at 63% of this is January through October 1st of this year. 63% of the shopliftings, the citizens lived in Texas City. 31% were from Marque. And then the numbers go down, Galveston, Santa Fe, and so forth. So what I wanted to mention to you in summary, shoplifting is a larceny. And, the crime rate is for violent crime and property crimes. Property crimes consist of larceny, which could be a bicycle stolen or something stolen from a car. You've got burglary. And of course, you've got arson in there, and then larceny and motor vehicle theft. So you got motor vehicle theft, larceny, and burglary, and of course, arson is a property crime, but we don't have that many. What I asked Eric to do was, if we didn't have shopliftings, what would the property crime rate? Because it's actually, as of October 1st, it was up 12.1% over the prior year, 2021. So if we, without shopliftings, which were about 324 January through October 1st, of which, I'm sorry, those were thefts. 225 of those, or 70%, were shopliftings. So most of our larcenies are shopliftings. And, we have a major retailer in our city, of course. It's Walmart. Great. We love Walmart. We know that's where most of them take place. We got Walgreens as second. But I had a meeting, and he's with the, hope I don't butcher his name, Vinny Monza. I got it right. I had to practice for 3 hours on that. But Vinny is the loss prevention asset protection person leader from Walmart. He has 8 stores. We met on October 26th. Vinny's a very busy man. In fact, one of his peers is Kevin Lemon, who was here on my first run. I brought Kevin in for some things we were talking about regarding shoplifting and protecting the store. We brainstormed, Vinny, myself, my command staff, and Eric, on things we can do. We've got some really creative ideas. I can't bring them out. They're secret, because if we do, we're going to have people bypassing them. So I can't bring them out. I think I told the city manager a few of them. He's going to keep it secret. But the thing is, we can't do too much with shoplifting. The dark side of crime is stuff we don't see. And obviously we don't patrol inside stores. I mean, that's loss prevention. That's their job. But we have some creative ideas we're going to look at, deterrent methods that Walmart might be able to do in other stores to kind of let people know Big Brother's watching you, And I did it in Alaska. It worked for a while. So Vinny's going to check into that. But the thing is, I talked to one of my staff members today, and Eric, we might want to, in the new year, when we talk about property crime, we might want to give you the picture of the crimes, but say without property crime, it would be this, because it's a crime that we really can't, drill down and help much. But the thing is, once again, if we didn't have shopliftings, our property crime rate would be, rather than 12.1% up, it would be down 13%. So I might present that to you. I'll talk it over with the city manager if he agrees. We might want to do that. Say, this is the property crime rate, and this is the other violent crime rate, but without shopliftings, this is it. Because we really don't want to hammer ourselves too much on something that's there and it's hard to, do anything about. So I think that might be the way to go. Eric brought that idea up. So you see what I'm saying, Mayor?
Yeah.
Because shopliftings are larcenies, and it's nationally reported as a larceny. Even if it's a 10-cent item, it's a larceny.
Could I ask you a question, Chief?
Yes, sir.
Procedurally, is it that they notice that there's a person who's leaving the store with items? How do we generate, how are these shoplifting calls generated at Walmart?
When the loss prevention detains somebody,
Okay.
They bring them, you know,
So
someplace.
all of these numbers are represent people that have been
Right.
detained for shoplifting. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
And obviously, there's some that they can't catch everybody. So there's a dark side of
Right.
crime, but the ones they do, they generate these this 225. So we're going to work on it. I think we got some good ideas, and I want to thank Vinny for coming in. Vinny, you want to come up here and say something to the council?
Please,
Okay.
Vinny, we got a bone.
Put you on the spot.
Come on, Vinny. Got several. I'm teasing, Vinny. Welcome.
Yes, indeed.
Your name and your title, please.
Yes, my name is Vinny Mwanza. I'm the market asset protection for Walmart, of course. I cover Galveston, Lamar, Lake City, Lake Charles. I have quite a few stores, about 8 of them. Just like Chief Errigan actually mentioned, Walmart do also recognize, even ourselves too, we've noticed that the number has rise actually compared to last year. Our shoplifting has risen by 39% last year to this year. I mean, so many things actually impact that, right? Inflations, especially this time of the year. But like Chief Errigan mentioned, we partner with quite a few things. Some of them is not very concrete yet. So that's one of the reasons why I don't really feel, comfortable to say that a lot, but it is definitely coming because the company as a whole recognize that we have to do something also to support, of course, the Lamar PD or any other law enforcement that is constantly helping us due to the calls that they get. And I'm pretty sure we are the largest or the number one call that Lamar PD gets, not just Lamar PD, Houston also. So we recognize that definitely.
Yeah. Any questions, guys?
No, no. Thank you for being here.
I do have a question. I'm real concerned about what are some of the things that you're doing to, because that's a big jump. 39% is pretty high.
Right.
What is Walmart doing to reduce that?
Well, if you go to certain Walmarts right now, we have some, number one, we are improving our surveillance. Video surveillance, quite a few. Our CCTV, it's one of the top one right now. Number two, the staffing. For example, Lamar store only had 2 API, what we call them asset protection associate, right? Who actually undercover to walk through the store, only had 2. But this year they're gonna have 4. So we recognize the need of, 39% is just actually the Marque store, it's not
Right.
the entire store, the
Right.
entire company. But that's just for the store, for the Marque store. So the staffing now is from 2 to 4. Also, when you go to Walmart now, you have people standing at the door asking for receipts. You won't believe how much it has actually deterred. We have quite a few people who will come inside and just go grab a TV, for example, a flat screen TV, and just walk out of the building. Just having that presence at the doors is helping tremendously. Another thing is also the way we process our shoplifting. It has changed compared to, well, we definitely recognize that 5 years ago, 10 years ago, the way we used to process shoplifting, it's not the same one that it's supposed to be today, right? As I mentioned, the inflation is happening. So the value of a toy that used to cost $7 today is about, it depends, $20 you might buy the same value, right? So if you're looking at an aspect, we're making those phone calls for $7, but the company acknowledged that too. Okay, we have to change that. So there's quite a few things actually the company's doing as a whole to impact that.
Okay, so because some of the things that I've observed while working with Walmart is that could you provide for us the percentage of people that you hire that live in Lamarck that actually work at that Lamarck Walmart?
Not
you
at this
get-
moment.
I know, but
Yeah,
could you bring it back? Because that's one thing that I noticed a couple of years back when we were doing study. Because I remember Angela used to be over that. I don't know if she still is over the district or not. But that was okay, all right. So she's still around.
Yes.
Because that can help to be a deterrent when because local people know local people and can help to, alert you onto some things that may be occurring. Because what we did notice about 5 years ago, when we worked with the NAACP, is that you are not hiring people, especially in district level and supervisory positions from Lamarque. And that could help to be a deterrent. So you might want to take that back. We did a report on that about 5 years ago when I was president of the Dickinson Bay Area. And we worked with Angela and tried to tell her that. So that may help when you can provide better jobs for the area. And there's some other things that I'll get with the chief.
Yes.
I'll get with you, the city manager, that may help with, because 39% is too high
Yes, ma'am.
for one store in 1 year. So we're here as a city to do whatever we can, since we know now that you are the number one, the number one entity in our city. And if we can help curtail that, we can really bring down our crime rate. That's what we want to do.
Definitely. I will
All right.
definitely take that.
All right, thank you. And tell Angela I said hello.
I sure will.
Okay.
No problem.
I have in the past, if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned the $7 amount, right? As your threshold for filing complaints
No. That I was giving an example about a value
of
when
value.
it comes to.
Because I
commodity usage,
understood-
Of course, has raised.
I understood Walmart has zero tolerance. If you shoplift, you're gonna be,
No,
no?
so if.
I know,
Yeah,
I don't want to even go into
Yeah,
that
just
area. I'm
we
just,
can, not to get
I'm
into
just saying,
intricate.
I will say that in some other situations,
Yes,
and not this store, but my biggest concern is either young people
Mhm.
that it happens in life, right? They get involved and then they suddenly confront themselves and find themselves in the legal system
right.
that impacts future opportunity. How had been involved in situations that we've partnered with children's advocacy organizations and actually directed them to those groups as an alternate method, as opposed to pursuing theft charges against them and making sure that they complied with whatever terms that were there to save their life, their future life, right?
Right.
For scholarship opportunities and home loans. All these things come up and hit you if you have those sorts of records on
Right.
that side. So all I'm suggesting, there's some very successful examples of opportunities to prevent people who have made perhaps a mistake with and surrounded by other kids, they're young people that are egging them on. But I do know that I worked with one young man who was on a stupid scavenger hunt, and the goal was to go in and steal a box of some sort of, it starts with a C, but that was it, and he got caught. And then he had to go through a process there.
I'll tell you what, I have just a quick story. What you say is absolutely true. And the company does recognize that. There's a type of discretion that we actually do have as management, within the store. I myself remember when I was a manager within the store, there were young men, was probably about 13, no, he was about 16, 17 years old. Because 2 years after that, he went to college, and the mother actually brought him back and knocked at the door and was looking for myself. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, sir, there's a lady with his child. I opened the door, of course, and I went up there, how you doing? I didn't recognize the young man, of course. And then she said, hey, by the way, 2 years ago, sometimes he came up here and shoplifted, but you guys gave him a big break.
Yeah.
And he's in college today. He wanted to come back here and thank you. So yes, I mean, we have quite a few of those stories throughout the company, and what you say is absolutely true, and I second that. So
Could you show Kyle the graph? Because I would like our constituents to see that most of the crime that is happening at Walmart is not done by Lamarque citizens. It's actually done by people elsewhere. So when people are trying to say bad things about our city, this is the data that you hit them back
That was
with.
it on the.
That most of the crime that's happening in our city is not done by citizens of Lamarck, but rather, and I guess because Walmart sits on 45, it's done by other people. I just wanted them to be able to see that graph of where most of the crime that's happening at Walmart is coming from.
Eric reminded me of Councilman, yes, on Lamar, it's not 31%, it's 31 cases, 15% of the people that are shoplifting were from Lamar, not 31.
Okay, so that's a mistake.
The first number after each name is how many? The
Okay,
second number represents the percentage of the pie.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
Sorry, Councilman. Yes. The, the number of arrested persons in Lamarck is 31, which accounts to 15% of the overall cases.
Okay,
And the number of people arrested with Tech City addresses shoplifting would be 63, which accounts for 31% of all cases. So if you look at it and you combine those two together, the 15% of Lamarck plus the 31% of Texas City, you're looking at 48% of the shoplifting rate is coming directly from both Texas City and Lamarck. But the majority of that chunk would be specifically from Texas City.
so this is our clapback when they talk about Lamarck.
What we're gonna do, I think we need to work on deterrence
Yeah,
and JB's expertise and so forth. We might do some videos on what happens when you shoplift, consequences. I think that'd be nice. You have very short videos. That's something we're gonna work on.
And then just one more thing, if you're interested about that large other portion in the top left corner, that's miscellaneous. That's one-off cases of citizens from different cities around the area, Bay City. Gotcha. People that are not likely to reoffend, people from out of state come down and have a real shoplift and contribute to our stats in that way. It's not one big block. It's a bunch of tiny little things that won't likely be that.
Very good. Any other questions? Thank you, guys. Excellent reporting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Item 6C, citizens participation, limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments from the public will be heard at this time. Any person with city-related business who is signed up may speak to council, limited to 3 minutes. If wishing to speak, give the mayor your name or the presiding officer your full legal name, address, and item you wish to speak about. Compliance with Texas Open Meetings Act, the city may not deliberate on comments. Personal attacks will not be allowed, and personnel matters should be addressed to the city manager during normal business hours. Press *6 to mute and unmute yourself if you're participating by telephone. If you are participating by Zoom, you may use the microphone icon on the lower portion of your screen on your smartphone, tablet, or computer to mute and unmute yourself. If you're attending in person, you may approach the podium to my left, give the mayor your name, address, and you will be heard. Kyle, are there any persons online wishing to speak? I don't see any. For those of you that are online, are there any persons online wishing to speak? Hearing none, we'll move to those in the audience. And first up will be Mr. Clarence Caldwell. Welcome, Mr. Caldwell.
Congratulations. Win.
Thank you, sir. Please state your address, name and address.
Clarence Caldwell, 3603 Prairie Street, Mark, Texas. I have an ongoing issue that's been going on with my neighbor. And I really need to speak to you privately.
Certainly.
Okay, if I can get your business card or something like
Certainly,
that.
right away.
Okay. In order for us to get this problem taken care of, because this is going on too long. And there are some laws, there are state laws, and there are city ordinances that was signed by the mayor that was before you. And certain officers don't understand the law.
Okay.
And when you present it, or you tell them that, they tell you that, well, city ordinance trumps state law. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. And then they ask you, well, where are you reading this at? Well, part of it, I'm reading from the stuff that y'all giving me. Part of it, you can look it up.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've even gave out the law. I can't get no justice, nothing. And the problem is going on worse and worse, and it just continues on and on and on. We get a court date, and then all of a sudden, his attorney come up and said, well, we got new evidence. What evidence can you come up with when I gave you all the evidence from a video camera? I mean, then the person tells you that, well, it's our discretion on whether we gonna come out or not. I'm like, excuse me, I pay taxes here. I mean, that's the law. So, I mean, so you're gonna make decisions on whether you're gonna come out. I could be laying dead. I'm a disabled person. I suffer with PTSD and I also suffer with epilepsy. And this stuff is not funny anymore.
Yeah.
And this stuff is going on too long. And if the job would have been taken care of 20 plus years ago, this right here would be going on right now. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to y'all.
Yeah.
On this issue. And I saved this city millions of dollars from sewer leaks that could have had wrecked Galveston Bay. But I don't get no help on my side.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. I don't get help from nobody. In fact, I don't even have a court date. We don't even have a court date. We supposed to have a court date in November. Came up here, and I'm not taking.
Finish statement. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm not taking up for this individual because they're losing money because they got to come up here also. But then I get no court date. That's wrong.
I understand.
And it's black and white. I have it right here. It's black and white. It states right here that you have to give that person something. I don't even get that.
Yeah.
And I'm a citizen.
You are, Ms. Caldwell, and you know, we can't respond, but I hear you and we hear you certainly. The best that we can do right now is refer you to the police chief, and you know how this works, definitely.
Well, I mean, we done that part.
I can't have a conversation with you.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that, but
If I may, I just ask staff to please take down your information and I'll make sure that I call you in the morning to set something up if that's okay. And in
Yes.
between the time, you also have my contact information.
okay. I can give you my number.
He's waiting for you right now.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr.
Pat.
Caldwell.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell.
Thank you for your patience. Mr. Robert Mischich. Welcome, Robert. Name and address as always.
Robert Mitstich, 24 North Curlew, Lamarck. Mayor, Council, thank you for listening, and Mr. City Manager. I'm going to speak to a couple of items, 8.3, which is the water rates, and item 12, which is the end of year finance. They're kind of linked together here for what I want to say. And Mr. Garcia, I want to thank you for everything with the capital improvement plans. And I think the plan that you put together is a much improved plan. What I'd like to offer is a couple of suggestions on it that could limit the impact to the public. In the previous session, y'all heard from a young lady about how these rates are going to be crushing to everybody. We already know that. We know that we've got to raise rates because of the cost of the water. But one of the things in here is the debt. You know, we're collecting money under debt service taxes, but yet we didn't use all that money under debt service taxes. We didn't use it to pay all down debt, only the minimal payments. We used it to supplement city operations. And y'all did that on 9 and 20, when y'all transferred just under $900,000 into city operations. And part of that went to, personnel ads and things like that. Had this money been used to pay down debt, that would reduce the impact of what we need to raise on water rates. Now, additionally, what's not explained in that thing is the breakdown of the operating costs that are on there. Because when you look at the utility fund and what's been done to that, in line item 12 on the end of the year, it has in there, you've got your basic utility operations costs, but you've got legal, you've got litigation settlements in there, lumped in there. You've got the fleet program in there. And then you've got those magic 3 letters, ETC, et cetera, meaning anything your heart's desire to lump into the utility fund. So people look at this and they think, well, I'm already paying a tax. But, and these things should come under operating costs. And yet now I'm going to pay for them on my utility bills. Which is it? You've got some definitions to define. You're in a pickle, and all this comes back to the SB2 law. And when you start changing things now and manipulating where you're going to put your taxes, this is what happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Mr. Rashad Loftus. Welcome, sir. Name and address as always.
Short Loftus, 309 Johnson Street. I got a couple things I want to make mention to. Number one, there's no donation boxes. I see y'all have that on the agenda. I know most of the times these things are placed on private property and you can't do nothing about it. But myself and a lot of other citizens around here would like y'all to do something about those things. It is unacceptable that those things are allowed in this city for people to just have free will to dump. And then on top of that, it has to sit there several days because it's on private property. And I know Kathleen's sitting back there going, Mr. Loftus, we can't mess with that. It's on private property. I get it. But tell that to the citizens who don't know that. And they just sit there and say that the city is not doing anything about it. It makes our city look bad, and it makes every one of y'all look bad because they say y'all ain't doing nothing about it. So there needs to be something done about these donation boxes. They need to be outlawed in this city because it's a problem. The second thing I want to mention is the boards and appointments where people are sitting on these boards and not showing up. We got that problem with KLMBC. Can't get people to show up to our meetings. So if y'all are appointing people, you need to make sure that there's going to be somebody that's going to show up and be a part of it. If not, then don't appoint them. Let them know up front. Either you show up or, don't be a part of it. Because what I don't appreciate is myself showing up and others showing up, and then we don't have enough people to conduct the meeting. That's a problem. My time is just as valuable as anybody else's. So I'm sure there's a couple positions open. Whoever's in charge of appointing those positions, please make sure that you get the right people in that's going to be active. And then 2, 3, there's a lot of misconceptions within this community about how city government works. Some people tend to believe that the mayor is responsible for everything that happens in this city, and that's just not true. A council manager form of government means that this council controls the city manager. And then from there, the city manager controls the day-to-day operations. So people need to understand that.
Finish your statement.
And maybe y'all should help them understand that. So a lot of confusion may be cut down and a lot of blame may not be put on one person. It should, if anything, it should be a shared blame. And that's pretty much all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Loftus. We are now moving to item 7, minutes. Gus, would you mind if I take all of these together?
That's fine.
10/25/22 special minutes, 10/10/22 regular minutes, and 9/20/2022 special minutes of 5 p.m. meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I second.
Any corrections or amendments? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8, ordinances. 8.1, ordinance number letter O-2022-0016, reducing the speed limit in a construction zone as requested by the Texas Department of Transportation, making various findings and providing an effective date. Council, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve.
The second,
Second.
any further discussion? Sounds like we are reducing speed limits because there's construction happening on the freeway and other thoroughfares. Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 8.2, ordinance number letter O-2022-0017, establishing a reasonable time limit on the amount of personal time to respond to public information requests, making various findings and establishing an effective date. Kiara, in 30 seconds or less, would you explain for the public?
Okay, so this is a method that's allowed by the state just to kind of help us reclaim some of the time that's being lost in our department as well as others. I'm looking at Kyle because he's a very large part of this operation. Really just trying to get people to be a little bit more clear and concise about the things that they're asking for. There is not just in our city, obviously, but all the way around. People have a lot more time than they had before. They're a lot more invested in government. And some of that ends up just ending up with these cumbersome, continuous daily requests about public information and how we do, which can actually cripple departments of, especially small departments like mine in IT, who again do the majority of this work. So this is just us utilizing those processes that the state gives us to help us be more efficient in how we handle these.
Very good. Any questions?
No question. I just wanted to ask whether I had spoken with city manager about a small typo that was in section 2 that mentioned $40 of staff time versus 40 hours.
Yes, so that one actually isn't a typo. So the way it's set up is, yes, so 40 hours is the amount that me and Gus work towards setting that annual limit before charges are assessed. However, if any 40, let me back up. The state gives us set dollar amounts that we can charge for certain things. Historically, anything that costs, that it takes more than 2 hours of staff time, we charge individually, and that section allows us to continue with that practice. So if there's one really large request, we can charge for that one, but it does not count towards your annual limit.
Got it. Thank you.
Any more questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion yet, Kara? I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Second,
Second.
any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 8.3, ordinance.
Before we go on real fast, Mayor, I
Yes,
just want to thank Joe, Councilman Joe Campion for bringing that's something that we learned in our class, one of the TML classes about the what is it again?
Vexatious.
Vexatious, yes. So I just want to thank Joe for that, for bringing that to the council.
Thank you, Joe, for helping out our ability to respond to public information requests. Thanks, Joe. Item 8.3, ordinance number letter O-2022-0018, amending Appendix A, Schedule of Fees and Charges of the Code of Ordinances, City of Lamar, Texas, by amending the prescribed water and sewer rates. As we last left off, Kyle, could we get about 10 minutes of debate time? Mr. Garcia was going to come back to us with an explanation on 3 line items in our utility budget. Mr. Garcia, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, you have the floor.
Absolutely. So there was 3 items that were in question, and I wanted to call attention to our budget book. I was trying to partake with the meeting, but also get the responses to those. And I want to call particular attention to on the budget, as soon as Kyle gets a chance to pull it up. The page you were referring to, I'm assuming to the questions were specifically from page 129. Of that, it breaks it down a little bit more on pages 132 and 133 of the actual budget book. We're going to be able to share those on the screen here shortly for that. So due to, again, the effects of the rollback and a lot of the different items that we need to look at, a large portion of that was for the new development that we know for sure. We already have plans for the new plat to come in this next year that will need new meters. We normally get anywhere between 20, 30, 40 new ones a year. We're expected to have over 400 new meters this year. Moving to that technology, that's where a large portion of that, so 466,000 of that increase involves a lot of those new meters and also labor to install those. In addition to that, specifically on page, Kyle, we can go to page 131. If you notice on that side, if you notice the requested side does not show any of the payroll attached. That's why the request was a smaller amount. Please keep in mind that before in the public works side, the utility meter readers were originally in public works and they were moved over to utility billing this year. So a portion of that is the 509 that is not reflected from payroll specifically. So those 2 numbers total 975,000, which is what that difference is.
And so where you get, so let's go back. Utility billing,
Yes, sir.
754, 1201. What is the explanation for that?
The difference between those two is because 509,000 of it on the request was not shown.
Why wasn't it shown?
Because on the request side, it just wasn't, they are part of the original request. That was one of the typos that we had during the original submission of the budget. And the 509 is what's there under, we corrected that under city manager proposed amounts.
Okay.
So the original amount that's shown was when it was done, and then the city manager proposes where we corrected that amount.
I'm sorry, Caesar, I'm not following. I'm not. 754, I'm looking at 754 and it jumps to 1201, right?
Yes,
On
sir.
that utility billing line item.
Mhm.
So my basic question is, what is that? What's that? What is that increase?
The difference of that increase is mostly from the meters.
So we're buying new meters in that,
Right.
in the utility
400
billing
meters.
line item. Okay, okay,
Approximately 400 plus meters that we're buying. In
okay.
In addition to that, the difference of that is the salaries that were not accounted for when we did the first draft of the budget. but
Gotcha.
Were corrected in the second final draft that we presented.
So 466 of that is new meters. The other part is salaries, not necessarily new
New
salaries.
salaries, just
Okay.
ones that we carried over.
Okay, and those new meters are going in where?
That would be for all the new development that we
Gotcha.
have planned for this new fiscal
Okay,
year.
that's one line item. Thank you. Okay,
That was one of the 3 you asked for. We can move over to the second line item, which would be, Kyle, go to page 134. And I'm trying to follow along as we go here. On the 134, the difference went from 274 that's listed. The large part of that district is summed up from the $850,000 difference that's shown there under 20-year life assets, which although it says buildings, it's not any buildings. Thank you, Kyle, for highlighting that. That 850,000, a large majority comes from that 850,000, which is broken down into two separate payments. One of them is asked for $250,000 of water line repairs to commence. We did so in the budget. And Kyle, if you can go down to 136 real quick, it's shown that breakdown of that 850. We did annual water line repairs. We increased that because last year we did so much more than was previously budgeted. And the 600,000 is the matching funds for their GLO sewer grants that were never put into any of the previous budgets. That equates to 850,000 of the difference. The other difference is also in the salaries. Again, Kyle, just go up real quick to page 134. On the requested side, that were not reflected in the difference. If you notice, it's slightly a little bit less this year versus last year.
So the line maintenance. I'm so sorry, Cesar, but the way that you're saying it is confusing me.
I apologize.
It really is. There, you went from 931,820 to 2,474,165, right? And you're saying 850 of that is what?
850 of that is broken down into two pots.
Okay,
One of them is 250 for additional water line repairs,
okay,
because we went so far over the exceeded budget last year. We exceeded last year's budget by over $200,000, by exactly 250, it looks like. The other 600,000 is we owe 590, I forget the exact number, 590 something that we owe for the match for the GLO bonds,
For the,
for the GLO grant,
the sewer, okay.
the sewer grants that are
Gotcha.
coming down the pipe.
Got you, okay,
Excuse me,
go ahead, Joe.
you don't have one of those pointers when you're, that has a little, I have one
Laser pointer?
someplace.
I need a pointer.
Actually, the bad part about it is, and we learned this earlier, is that when you point them at the screen, it doesn't catch very well, especially with the new flat screen TVs. So it doesn't catch very well. We need a different type of pointer. But
Something when you're talking,
You need
'cause
an assistant.
yes, yeah, Vanna White.
So that's,
Highlight, Kyle, please, highlight the 850. Yes, that 850 is reflected.
what you just told us.
And what I just told you, two pages down below.
Okay,
On page 134, 136, reflected at the bottom of it there, bottom right, in those two line items, the 250 of additional water line
got you,
repairs
I see it.
and the
Got you.
600,000.
What about the rest of that deficit, that gap?
The rest of that gap actually is reflected above. If you look upwards just a little bit, Kyle, back up to page 134. If you notice, back in 2021, we thought we were going to spend 728, or we spent 728,000. Last year, we budgeted for 961,000, and we estimated that we ended the year at 713, which is why we reduced it slightly to that amount. Now, from the request to the proposed, that again was that 700,000 or so that was missing, that we corrected when we did the final.
Okay, and that's what, salaries?
That's the salaries.
And-
Yes, sir.
and
Under
what- in what department?
water lines maintenance. which
Water
is
line, okay,
Page 134 for point of reference.
okay. All right, and the last one was the stormwater permitting.
Right. That one, I will be very honest, I did not get a chance to finish on. While we were going through,
Rick wants to help you out.
I go ahead. Maybe Rick, thank you, anybody, I appreciate that. That equates to the 575. I did not have the page number for reference.
The stormwater permit fee last year was extremely low. So what we did this year, we've actually built into the stormwater fund, stormwater expenses, which includes personnel and equipment. So the stormwater cost basically went from $16,000 up to $575,000. That's a pretty big jump. Stormwater generally has been paid out of the general fund. The general fund dropped $500,000. If you look at the general fund, it went from 1.2 million down to 750,000. So we basically transferred money out of the general fund into that stormwater fund to cover stormwater maintenance. That includes personnel and equipment to maintain the stormwater system.
What sort of personnel and what sort of equipment?
The equipment, trucks, the great alls, dump trucks, basically to do drainage work, to do culvert work, and then personnel, which we're still lacking.
So basically, the stormwater permit is,
Stormwater permit, the permit's kind of a skewed word a little
Right.
bit. So we have, the city has a stormwater permit through the state of Texas, just like a wastewater discharge permit. We're on an MS4. So it's a regulated stormwater permit that we're required to meet certain obligations for. I think that's why that terminology got put in there on that fund, but it's really stormwater maintenance, just like wastewater maintenance or water operations. It's stormwater is just another way of handling water.
Okay.
It's the
So,
great.
so basically this line item is a reflection of our efforts to maintain our drainage system.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
And
And it was not shown before. I mean, $16,000 would do nothing for your stormwater system, which is what was in the 22 budget.
And may that breakdown, for a point of reference, if anybody at home needs to see that breakdown, or for anybody, page 144 in the budget book, sorry.
Okay. I did it.
Exactly.
All right, I got those questions answered. Now council, we have an item that we are deliberating on further. Kyle, we'll probably need another 10 minutes on this item as we get into it.
Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
can I go follow up on a couple of your?
Yeah,
questions?
go ahead.
Your, clarify, please,
15.
$600,000 matching funds that you said was not included. Is that saying we had to provide that?
We haven't yet.
We haven't.
We haven't provided it yet. It was never budgeted for.
So that was, we didn't allocate that 600,000.
It nowhere in
So-
our records have we shown that was previously allocated when the grant was received for whatever reason. Now, anytime that we put out a grant and we accept a grant, we know that we allocate those funds necessary, so we commit to them essentially for the following fiscal year.
So what we're going to have to do for that right now is once again, take it from the general fund.
In this case, it would come from the utility fund. If we don't have the revenue, the wherewithal to do so, then it would come from there.
From there.
And also, if it, for some reason, we don't get to the point of having to pay all of it back this fiscal year, then that could be spread over 2 years, but we couldn't, at that point, when we put the budget together and presented it to you, we couldn't tell the future as to where we would be. So we had to allocate that accordingly.
Where, on these expenses side, I don't see and this speaks to and we'll get into it, the utility fund, the enterprise fund here we're talking about, but I don't see an allocation that's being made for the debt service on it here. I don't see that listed as an expense. Where is it at?
Did you mean as part of what we're presenting to you tonight, as far as what the presentation was?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we've talked about it at the goal. We see it on the graph here, right?
Right.
But I don't see it here because I went back and looked at this too.
So
From last year, the budget.
the budget book.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would have to look to see where it is. I believe it's under debt service.
but it's
which
all,
it
see,
is
that's
paid.
back. Mr. Hersey, I think I know where we're going to this, but I'm gonna say this once and I'm not gonna say it again. Because then it'll be, my next step is, this is one of those deficiencies, just like the auditor did. We operate by lumping everything together. It's in the auditor's notes. Correct that, please. Correct it,
Duly noted.
okay? That's all I'm gonna say there.
In next year's budget, you will have a separate stormwater, wastewater, and regular water fee,
So we can.
or account, I should say.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I think we need a motion, yes? Do we want to talk about this before we make motion or?
Well.
Wait a minute. Yeah, we still got-
Discussion, yeah.
All right, let's discuss and then we'll entertain a motion. Go ahead, Jeff.
So fundamentally, right now, this proposal that you're bringing before us, and I've listened to your presentation today and the previous one, Mr. Osteen was there and others. Dave and his wife were there and Sally as well too. We're once and for all beginning the goal of having a standalone enterprise fund, a utility enterprise fund. As other cities have done, we heard about this at the Texas Municipal League Conference. Great success. Council does have to take that first step in order for this to happen. We're not a wealthy community. We recognize our per capita annual income based upon the census is approximately $50,000 a year. And then the other objective here in the all-in-one was that as opposed to us coming back and visiting then the sewer rate next year, we need to deal with all of these. We should ideally try to present a plan to our community and to this council as well. Have a healthy discussion, which we've had, by the way. I compliment you on facilitating and leading those discussions. Thank you. And so we have now this opportunity to see, look, we know we're losing money in all of these, in all of our services right now. We're losing money. And so here you presented this plan that's, as it stands now, conceivably would raise the rates by as high as, depending upon what usage category, in some instances as high as 50%. Am I accurate in saying that?
Slightly less than 50%.
Okay, so it's 40-something%.
47.5 to
In that area, depending
Total.
upon your usage. Now, and we've heard great personal stories with regard to, please recognize that we're all being challenged. So I would like to suggest to this council that I like the plan, but I think that we need to stair step it, the rate increases. Because remember, we're not dealing in this plan with the capital improvement for their 10-year program, because we still need to fix all those zones. And by the way, we're going to start in Casey's district with, after the discussion, right, with one of the zones that we have the money for because of American Rescue and the Mid-Mod. We've got those dollars. So we're trying to hit the greatest number of leaks that have been reported and to bring down that approximately 60% water loss, as we talked about earlier. So I'm suggesting that we stair step this. Probably, I know it's a 10-year plan with great flexibility to revisit. So number one, I'm going to suggest a 2-year stair step on this. Number one. Number two, I am going to ask that we amend this to include the requirement of a citizens advisory committee that's going to hold us and your feet to the fire with regard to what we've laid forth here, and that there will be reports presented to that advisory committee every quarter. We don't need another monthly meeting, but just every quarter for the work to be done, and saying this is the goal here, and let's have some regular accountability there. That's beyond just staff and beyond just this council on that side. And the last thing that, and I said this, Mr. Osteen, you remember this too, and comment that we made there. What is it, Gus? How is it that we can really put teeth into this plan, this 10-year plan to build this enterprise fund, so that future councils are not going to come along and say, look, we're going to monkey around with this and transition, do this and this, right? And I don't even know if it's possible, but that's a question that I had because I've been struggling with that one.
Yeah, to answer that very generally, this council is free to pass an ordinance that it so chooses, but you are correct to identify that future councils can pass different ordinances that amend it or change it. So.
Well, and then having said that, it's going to be up to us, the residents of this community, to hold whoever's sitting here, accountable in terms of this plan. If Mark's going to move forward as a community of innovation, of wonderful homes, affordable homes, wonderful affordable homes, we have to keep the plan, keep the numbers in place. That's all my thoughts there. Thank you, Mr. Rick.
Who's next, if anybody?
Well, I partially agree with my fellow council member. And the part I agree with is I don't like it. However, the need is there to do a step program. As far as a committee goes, I'm not for that because we have problems trying to get people on boards now. I mean, that's just an added burden. And we may not get those people. So I don't, but I do agree with the quarterly reports that could come from staff. The other thing is the city manager, whoever the citizen was that mentioned adding that fee for those that can't pay it. I appreciate that. That's a great plan. It doesn't have to be $7. It could be $2. I mean, that's a great plan to help bring the community together and help each other out. So I applaud that. And like I said, if we step it from the 47 to 25 the first 2 years. And the thing I'm cool with that. And then the thing that's great about this whole plan, so city manager and staff, thank you. Citizens, thank you. This is an awesome plan because it can be tailored. So if we go and we get everything done before the 10 years, then we can just say, let's relook at it. Let's drop everything back because we've done what we've done. We've got everything fixed from the last 50 years. So that's my 2 cents. And like I said, I agree. Maybe we should do a step program because we don't know what the inflation rate is going to be in 2 years. So we can come back and look at it. So.
Very good. Ladies, anything?
Well, first I want to apologize to y'all that I could not be here for the workshop, so that I couldn't, because obviously I don't know what discussion has already taken place. I did get to speak with Mr. Garcia last week about this. I do feel like what you presented is a very worthy plan, and takes into consideration all of the concerns we've all brought up. I don't see a way to reconcile our immense need without it being a bit painful. I don't know how we do that. And I do think that this plan, from everything I understand, from what I see and what I have learned, is doing its very best to make it as amenable as it can be. Because obviously we've had much more aggressive plans that we can, that you would put in front of us per our request. I don't really understand what it means, Councilman, when you suggest like stepping it, because I think that sounds good, but what does that mean realistically? Because everything I've understood is that, we're in fairly dire straits when it comes to our debt. And that hence the need for us to be aggressive, but compassionately aggressive. So I'm just curious what that meant to you guys when you said that.
To me, instead of going 43% or 47% raise, do the first 2 years as 25%. Yeah, we're not going to get as much done with that 25%. However, it gives us the flex, or another council flexibility to relook at it and see what the economic state of the country is. But it still gives us hopefully some ability to start making progress. I mean, that old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, it's going to take a while to rebuild Marque, and it can't be done in a day. So I'm just thinking, that's why I said do a step program, and next year relook at it, or relook at it the year after, 2 years. Things could have changed. I mean, nobody expected the pandemic. So.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
If I could give, I'll hang on to you, but with a bit more specificity. I would, when I say step it up or start it up over 2 years, we're going to have an increase this year if we would today. It would be half of the amount that of 100% of what we see here on this side. Then that would be tonight. And then over the next year, we would have the other increase there. and when I say would, so that would be, to be clear, that would be the fiscal year of, what is it? We're in 22, 23 now, right? So it would be fiscal year 23, 24 would be the other part of, including the 3% then at that point that Cesar had mentioned in its calculation. That's what I'm.
Okay. Well, I'm curious to hear what you say to that. I mean, because again, I'm sorry I wasn't here to have more of the meaty discussion with y'all earlier,
Oh,
but
oh.
but so what's proposed in here, it would get us to a break even over what duration of time? Or it would get us to where we're not losing money, losing the $6,800 a
Correct.
day.
So barring the difference of the first 3 months, barring that, it would take us approximately a full year to recover. So we're the final 9 months of this fiscal year, plus probably the first 3.
If we pass what's in here right now.
If you pass what's in here now,
Okay.
right? Well, not now, it's got to go to read.
Right,
So
right, I
first
know,
read the
but
second.
this, if these rates were approved.
Correct, just the rates. And I want to also clarify that we're not bringing before you any of the new stuff. So no capital improvements, no stormwater, and no CT citizen portal. No donation. That's not on the table now. Those are ideas that were added after the fact, which we could not include with what was put out publicly already because we didn't have enough time by that point.
Okay.
Agenda had already been posted. So at this point, it would just be the rate adjustment. And I did a quick math. It's about a 43.5% increase for the 1,000 gallon users, and incrementally goes up slightly. So roughly most of the population would feel less than a 49%. And that's total rate. A lot of people forget we're talking about water rates being the biggest hit, but there's also a slight increase in sanitation, a slight increase in sewer to cover the. Absolutely.
Uh-huh. Okay. I'll sit for a second. I'll defer to you.
Yeah, we've talked about this plan over and over, you and I, so I'm confident about this plan. It gets the job done in a reasonable time. I do like Joe's idea though about having an ad hoc committee so we can make this a teachable moment for our community. Because I don't think people know enough about water and just what a limited resource it is becoming for a lot of cities in Texas. And I think an ad hoc committee, even if they just meet quarterly, you know what I'm saying? Just to look at it, put out a statement about this is where we are. I learned a lot about how water works during this whole process too. And I think that it's worth doing that. Now, I do think that there are some things that we can tack on to that we can find out more information about to help our residents who may not be able to make that jump in some cases, be it with the ARPA funds. When we talked about having a pocket of money where people can apply for that, and then also get with some of our partners, our nonprofit sisters that are out here to make sure that we can help those families that have to adjust anyway, regardless of what happens tonight, just to be able to reach out. And then I know Joe and I are supposed to be meeting soon with the HGAC because there's about $4 million, right, Joe, that we have to talk to them about, that we could, hopefully use some of that to help with utilities as well. But the issue has got to get fixed. So I'm cool with your plan. We've looked at it, we've turned it up, we've turned it around, and this is the best way to get the job done. And it's something, people come and go, citizens come and go, councilmen come and go, but we want to make sure that this is something that we are committed to doing for the future Lamarck resident.
I will try to be as brief as possible, because the timer says we have about 1 minute and 24 seconds left.
Just about.
Just roughly. Listen, I'm not convinced that we won't overtax and overburden our seniors and people that live in our community on fixed incomes. The affordability burden did not convince me that those folks have been accounted for. It didn't take into consideration the average income of people on fixed incomes, people that are, to Joe's point about the folks on SSI and things of that nature. It does not take into consideration that municipal taxes are going up, school taxes are going up, fuel has gone up, and we are at inflation level that we haven't seen in over 40 and 50 years. It doesn't take any of those things into account. But I do realize that we have work to do. And so I'm willing to go with an incremental approach. My colleagues on the right shared that approach. I want to go down that road. I am not in favor of an ad hoc committee or a committee of any kind. We're the council. We are that committee. We have so many committees that we don't know what to do with them, and many of them are not well attended. So I don't feel strongly about that. But at this time, if I have to vote for this plan as it is in its current version, I vote no. But I'm willing to vote yes if we're able to give some progression and allow for some of those repairs to Casey's district to take hold to see where we are in 2 to 3 years. I'm done. I will entertain a motion. Casey, did you want to jump back in or?
I mean, I just, man, it's tough. I feel, I do hear what all the gentlemen to my right are saying about wanting there to be even more stair stepping. I also remember very much the urgency that you communicated to us for the last several months. And without it being in front of us, those numbers about what it would mean to stair step it, it's really hard for me to weigh in on it. I'm tempted to say that, we should go forward with this plan, but it sounds like we don't have enough votes, and it gives, all the gentlemen a lot of discomfort, and I really respect where they're coming from. Go
May
ahead.
I offer, and obviously I'm not in a position to offer an amendment, but just for you to maybe somewhat consider this situation, because I would be more than amicable if you cut the deficit that we're in half, 1.25 being half of the 2.5. I'm going to sleep a lot better tonight thinking I only got to come up with a 1.25 versus 2.5, barring that this moves forward. But to your point, right now, and just to voice that a little bit, I think Ms. Venetia is still here. She can attest that we're only offering our seniors a $1.65 discount. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, and I can't see around the corner, it's $1 for the water and 65 cents on the sewer, or vice versa. I think that the incremental approach that you're talking about, the idea of that, even if we have 703 identified accounts today of our 5,000 and change. We know that we have 703 of the 5,733 accounts. May I maybe hypothetically suggest that maybe we do a step plan and leave it at the step plan for some of our seniors until we can look at this at a later time, and then proceed with the regular plan for some of the others. That was not thought of before. I just thought of it now. I don't know a position to do that. We're just doing it. Any combination of there.
You're suggesting isolating a stepped incremental plan solely for those who are already receiving reduced rates for the seniors, and then moving ahead with these proposed rates for all other citizens? That you're just floating that, but am I understanding that
Or
correctly?
just going with it all outright.
Cesar, I think,
Is that something?
I'm sorry,
do?
Casey, I don't want to step on.
No, I was just saying, is that something we can even do, Gus?
Amending the ordinance.
You got Gus scratching his head already.
No, the council is free to make an amendment to an ordinance. I would say if you're going to do something that drastic, I would feel more comfortable if I had a time to fully vet it, is all.
Yeah, and let me say this. There are other people in our community on fixed incomes that aren't senior. And there are many people in our community making $7.25 an hour. The young lady that spoke to us earlier, I don't remember her giving a salary, but she suggested to us that even at her salary, that she would have issues. So it won't solve all of the issues. And to Gus's point, I think to kind of without preparation and consideration, real consideration, to just throw a number out there tonight would be disrespectful. to your process, to the constituency and to this council. We know we have to do something. I think the hesitation is how much can we bite off? Not we, but our community with the other increases that are happening this year and next year. That's the heartburn. That's what we need to solve.
Mayor,
Go ahead,
Mr.
I'm
Dick,
sorry.
this is just another, the reasoning on the 2-year step, that methodology that I suggested was that in fiscal year 23-24, at the end of that, we will have paid off a significant amount of our debt. Okay, that's why I was, and then that gives us the time to revisit this as well as then implement additional fee or whatever we have to do, make adjustments. But we've gotten rid of probably what represents about 8 cents of the debt. If we'd gone up to as high as,
I'd have to look at.
I think we've we're at about 16 cents on this.
Correct.
16 cents.
Give
So
or
I
take.
think it's about half of it. And that gives us some flexibility. That's why I was also my motivation for it.
Well, if we do that step program, isn't it gonna extend that debt service?
No.
At present time, no, I mean,
Okay.
we're still,
We're
we're still on the hook for the payment as listed.
Okay. I
It's
just-
just, we happen to be in a great position that there isn't a lot of debt on the books right now.
Hmm.
That it's about to tail off. So this year it's about
Gotcha.
350 and then it goes down to about 1 and then it goes down to 50 and tails out.
Okay.
So.
I just want to
we're-
make sure we're not.
We're luckily in a good position on our debt from our utility side, based on that, as far as retiring debt.
So,
Gotcha.
so
Thank you.
we can entertain a motion here tonight, council. We can, motion to table. Sounds like we've given, staff enough, feedback to come back with a slightly altered plan. What do we?
Well, I'm curious about the GLO obligation that we have. What's that timeline like? And I see Melissa's on here. But if I'm just curious about that. What, obviously that's a fairly sizable portion of the money we need to account for in the coming budget year or in the coming year. So I guess what I'm asking for is how long can we continue to deliberate around this, around our rates that doesn't put us in hot water? Aha. I'll take it, whatever.
To answer your question, Councilman, it depends, right? I think it's too soon and as Mayor mentioned, it would be unfair to the process to give you a date now.
Mhm,
Depends on how fast those projects go. We're trying to expedite those projects
mhm.
because we want to get those projects going as quickly as possible during
Mm-hmm.
this fiscal year and hopefully get a chance to address at least 1 or 2 of them. So portion will be due this year.
Mhm.
We feel very comfortable. The sizable amount of that portion will be dictated by what happens.
What is it? Yeah.
So it's too soon to say.
But
We
600 is the total obligation on our side.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it would be reasonable to say we're not going to end up needing to pay that full $600,000 over the
Right.
course of next year.
Right. So depending on what that difference is,
That's what I thought. Okay.
is what that would be.
Got it.
dictated.
Okay. Thank you.
Same is true with that 250,000 for water line repairs. We put that in there as a buffer because we know last year we exceeded that budget line. We almost doubled that budget line because how many leaks we've had over the last fiscal year. We can
Mhm.
only presume that we're gonna have the same or similar numbers.
Mhm.
So that's why we created that, because we don't want to do just Band-Aid solutions. We gotta get it, start in some capacity. Whether
Yeah.
we do it in small increments on our own, or we use other forms to get it done.
Okay.
Mayor, I'd like to move that we approve the increases. I don't even want to use the term increases, the adjustments in terms of our water, sewer, and sanitation fees of half of the proposed amount, the total proposed increase in this upcoming would be this year, right, Cesar?
This fiscal year.
This fiscal year, with the remainder in the carryover for the next fiscal year with the 3% adjustment that you had anticipated at that point.
3.5.
And as part of this motion, that we revisit this in the second year, right before we implement that other increase.
I think that's the most complicated motion I've ever heard in my entire life.
I'm trying to think of.
If I may, too, just to that point, right now we have a standing in-house policy that we're going to address fees every 2 years anyways, in even years.
Okay.
This would be no different than that, as we would do all our scheduled fees. This would fall in line with that if you so chose, for us to do that accordingly.
Well, Gus, you know what I'm saying.
If I may clarify that,
Yeah.
or clarify even for myself. What you're proposing, Mayor Pro Tem, is the city manager has presented a proposal with an increase or a adjustment to the water and sewer rates and sanitation rates. What you are proposing is that for this year, those rates will be increased 50% of what the city manager's proposal was.
Exactly.
And that in the following fiscal year, beginning October 1, 2023, it will be increased again, the remaining 50% up to what the city manager initially proposed,
Correct.
plus 3.5%.
Correct.
Um,
Very good. Very articulate.
I second that motion.
Okay.
I second that motion.
There's a motion and a second on the floor.
And
is there any further
I'm one more thing. Did you want to include the part about revisiting next year? Or we're already doing that? I know you mentioned that, so I just.
No.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Please do.
I want to say before you even get there, I'm very tempted to be like on board with this. It sounds like there's will like for this idea. It's half of what you wanted.
It's okay.
But I'm uncomfortable with that kind of on the fly adjustment of the ordinance.
Yeah.
Just because it's such big numbers.
Yeah.
Like I understand what you're saying, Joe. Like I do understand it, but I do feel like it might be a better mode of operations to have those kinds of numbers in black and white in front of us.
Right.
You know what I mean? I feel like these are such large numbers for us to say 50% of it is good.
Well,
Incorporate
it, give us some numbers to include in the motion then, says that.
If I can.
Well, see, that's the thing. The thing is, like I said earlier, at this point, we're disrespecting your process and the opportunity for the people, to Casey's point, to see what we're talking about. If we're making this adjustment, this problem has happened, we've heard 58 million times from you guys over the course of a long period. But tonight, somehow, we're just kind of freeballing. We're going to fix it all in one night just because we just decided. I will not do that. I will vote against that. I think that we need to be thoughtful and deliberate.
I'm just wondering, Cesar, would you be comfortable with this kind of recommendation if you had all of the will of the council behind it to prepare it for the next meeting?
Certainly.
Does
And I could do either or anything to the such. I just want to make sure, Mayor, just that I'm getting this right. Would that be for next Monday's meeting with the second reading in December? Or do you mean, I just want to know where.
I'm okay with acting on it next week.
Right.
So if you all are able to do the work.
We're able to do the work. If we can, I just want to make sure that if we're, I just want to make sure that I'm getting.
Absolutely.
If that's the case, then in that case, again, I'm not one of you guys. I would move to table it and bring it back at the November 21st meeting with the recommendations that you guys are prefacing.
Okay.
And clarity,
Well, hold on, because I'm getting stairs across. I want to make sure that I'm doing this right.
We've already got a motion. We got
No,
to.
willing to-
Right.
Are you saying that we're bringing it back then to take action?
If, yes, sir, if Caesar can work the numbers that you and the rest of the council has basically blessed.
Yeah.
Next Monday, I'm willing to then take action.
Okay.
Yes,
fine.
yes.
That's what I-
Yes, so long as the public gets a chance to look at those numbers. And you know, we follow all of the posting guidelines.
Mhm.
I'm willing to take action one way or the other
Yeah.
next week.
That
Yes.
makes me.
Well, I'm going to withdraw my motion with Ms. Yankees.
We'll work on that. And I know JP listening intently. I believe that we're to the point we are. It does not delay our timeline any. We can't do anything until second reading anyways. So I'm in full support and we'll work to get that out
Okay.
publicly before the posting deadline to make sure that it has ample time to be reviewed.
Entertain a motion to table.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any further discussion? None on the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Up. I don't know why I banged that gavel. Got excited. I thought we were done,
Thank
but
you.
apparently
Oh, no.
we're not done.
Oh, thank you.
9, resolutions. Unless otherwise specified, the city manager is authorized to execute all necessary documents upon final approval of the city attorney. There are 5, 6, 7 resolutions. Council,
It's not a consent agenda.
Hmm?
It's not a consent.
oh my goodness, one by one.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Lord.
I can be quick. I can be really super quick.
9-1, resolution number letter R-2022-0092, authorizing an agreement with CGI Digital to participate in the Community Showcase video program. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
The second,
Second.
you want to, in 5 seconds, tell them?
Unless there's no discussion, if there's any questions. I can answer.
Well, I'd like to discuss because
Go
I
ahead, go
I
ahead.
have no idea what this
It
is.
is through our partnership with the National League of Cities, we have an opportunity to get 4 free videos shot for the city through this program. The National League of Cities would pick up the bill. The agreement is pretty self-explanatory, no dollars exchanged. Just we want to accept those services at no charge.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 9-2, resolution. You were excited about that,
Yeah,
aren't
I was ready.
you? Resolution number letter R-2022-0093, authorizing the sale of real estate along Highway 3 to the Gulf Coast Water Authority for a public purpose, making various findings and providing an effective date. Want to explain, Caesar?
Yes, this is a parcel of land that Gulf Coast Water Authority has deemed necessary for their expansion projects. We're going to run a water line that runs through this parcel of property that we currently own. It's where our city sign sits. They have allowed us to continue for our city sign to sit there and to continue to be part of that property since the price is annotated as to it is. They're ready to move forward with construction to do their project. Gus, if you have anything, that's all I had.
Nope, just, yeah, this is part of a waterway expansion, so, if council has any, further questions, detailed questions, Cynthil Roddenjohn is present, he is the project engineer with the Gulf Coast Water Authority. If council has detailed questions about the project.
How, I have a question.
Sure.
The purchase price that was given to us?
It was,
It was negotiated?
it was negotiated, I believe, the EDC worked on it.
Okay.
As far as the price and the purchasing as a whole, the water authority is a governmental entity. And this is for a public purpose, specifically the provision of drinking water to the citizens of Lamarque and the other citizens served by this line. And should the proper, in accordance with the local government code, should the property no longer be used for this water line, it would revert back to the city of Lamarque.
Will these proceeds go into our general fund, or can they be directed to our enterprise utility, utility enterprise fund?
I'd have to look at that in more detail. But you know, it's the city of Lamarck's money now, whether it goes into the general fund and is then transferred to the utility fund, that I'd have to talk to Susie about that in more detail.
Any further questions?
Is our unnamed park gonna stay? I know one resident that loves to sit out there.
It would remain as such post-construction. Obviously, they would have to have some way, shape or form that they would have to get in there to construct. But the intent is for it to be put back into its current state when the actual construction would be complete.
Okay.
Very good. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 9-3. Resolution number letter R-2022-0094, approving a change order in the amount of $177,799.20 from Lucas Construction for additional work and material costs increases to the 2022 Galveston County partially funded City of Lamarck various road project. Caesar?
This is for the street improvements. This is the additional change order that was brought by the contractor. This will be zero cost to the city. EDC has picked up, agreed to pick up the bill for total cost up to 1 million, and this amount falls through that threshold. County will pick up half of this amount. EDC will pick up the other amount at no cost to the city.
Very good. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 9-4, resolution number letter R-2022-0095, awarding bid LM number 02-23 to American Janitorial Services for janitorial services in the amount of $32,040. Caesar?
Yes, we brought this item to you previously. The vendor that we agreed with tried to come with some changes to the original amount that was agreed upon. At that time, we told them thanks, but no thanks, and we brought the next vendor forward, which is the contract that you're seeing now. They've already agreed to this term and have already been, they're pretty much ready to go. It happens to be the same vendor we had previously.
Very good. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 9-5, resolution number letter R-2022-0096, reappointment of James Osteen and Randall Largon to the Galveston County Animal Services Advisory Committee. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 9-6, resolution number letter R-2022-0097, awarding bid 03-23 for water and sewer material purchases to Core and Main for an amount not to exceed $55,000. Caesar?
This is the vendor that we've used regularly as far as use of material for this concept. We wanted to bring forward a one-time approach to doing this, so we don't have to come back afterwards with additional POs. Any questions you have, I could take them now on this specifically. This is also Rick's item, should he have any more technical questions on it.
Any questions for staff, council?
Yes. This is a sole source provider, correct? Or no?
No, sir, there were two bids. Yeah, we cleared out public.
Okay, so we did an RFQ for them. Okay. Okay, I'm happy. Thanks.
Very good. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 9-7, resolution number letter R-2022-0098, designating a representative and alternate to the Houston Galveston Area Council for the 2023 General Assembly. I will entertain nominations from the council.
And for me.
First of all, didn't we already do this
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, gosh, wrong thing.
previously?
I think we're doing it for twenty
Oh,
twenty-three.
for the
Yeah.
2
For the
years.
next
Okay,
year.
oh, for the next year.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I nominate Joe Compion. Is that for HCAT?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
for
ma'am.
HCAT.
You nominate Joe Compion?
Yeah, to be the
Okay.
main one.
Are there any other nominations for the main?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, let's move to the alternate. Do we have any nominations for the alternate?
I nominate Miss Kimberly Yancey.
Oh, there you go. Any other nominations for the alternate? We have a nomination and for the main representative and nomination for the alternate. Do we have a second for both?
Yes.
Michael seconds
Second.
both of them. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, guys. Item 10, appointments. Appointments, reappointments, or removals from all city boards and commissions. Kiara, do you have something you want to share with us before we get into this?
Okay. I'll wait. I'll let you guys do your nominations. I had a list, but I think it just changed. So
Okay, well,
Yes.
let's see. Michael, do you have any nominations?
My nomination, I'd like to pull Mr. Pennington from the Board of Adjustments
Okay.
for my recommendation. I'd like to keep the other one there.
okay, no.
That's it.
worries. Okay, now I can do it. Thanks. Sorry.
Okay.
guys.
Sorry, I couldn't get the word to get done.
Joe, do you have any?
There's Tamara Smith as a reappointment to the Parks Board.
Okay.
Okay, is the district the Parks Board nomination? And then I have Miss Ariel Nixon Guillory as a District C representative for the Board of Adjustment. So you'll still have one more appointment on that.
Yes,
Okay.
I need to work on that one.
This is unorthodox, but I had been waiting, or Kara and I were playing some email tag, so I wasn't able to reach out to Mr. David Pennington in time. But I do know that he has submitted an application for building standards. And now that it's proposed that he be pulled from Board of Adjustments. I already wanted to appoint David, but I felt like I didn't have all the machinations in place. So again, I understand this is a little unorthodox, but David, would you accept my nomination? Would you go to prom with me? Yay. It would truly be an honor. You know, you're such an asset. And if you don't know, you should know you're an asset. And it would be such a delight. And are you okay with that, Michael?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's why I pulled them.
Okay, that's what I figured. I felt like we always have a mind meld up here. So yes, that is my nomination, please, to the Building Standards Committee. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pennington. Woo!
Good deal.
I
Kim?
want to get back with you because there's a question I have about one day appointment. So probably next Monday.
That's fine. If you guys, I guess at the end of this, if you all want to make a motion to put it on the special meeting as well, we can.
Yeah, we could do that.
So I can
Okay,
have an extra
fine.
meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a second? I don't have any appointments tonight. Is there a second to these nominations?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations to those who have been appointed tonight. Item 11, City Manager's Report. Caesar.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, the report has been presented to all of you. I will entertain any questions on any items specifically that you would have need on, any of the 11, 1, 2, 3 that you have a question on particularly.
Does anyone have any questions on the City Manager's Report for Caesar tonight?
No, sir.
I'm sorry, you said 11, 1, 2, and 3?
Yes.
So local parks grant program exception. Is that part of your report?
It is, and basically, just very briefly, we submitted our Parks Master Plan to review by the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, and they graciously accepted and thought it was a great plan, and have given us credence for about 10 years to utilize their blessings, if you will, to use that plan to go after funding.
And that's not part of the playground.
No,
that's-
totally
we're
separate.
Totally separate.
Totally
Okay.
separate.
Right.
Any further questions on the City Manager's Report? let's be clear, your report looks like West Lawn and Highland drainage improvements, that's Miriam Melody Lane.
Yes.
Thanks be to God. It says expect to bid in the first quarter of 2023. So that means by the end of the first quarter of 2023, we should start moving into seeing some work.
We should start to seeing the bid go out.
The bid go out.
Then
By the end of the
hopefully
quarter?
by the end of the quarter, if we're able to also close the bid, then hopefully if we're able to do that within the first quarter as well, you'll be able to announce.
Late spring, early summer.
I'm hoping to get it all done, at least the bidding process complete in the
Okay.
first quarter.
Hold on, Mary and Melody Lane. It's coming. It's coming. Thank you. I just wanted to highlight that for those people that have definitely been watching the Mary and Melody Lane project. Let's move now to item 12, financial summary. Would Ms. Koo be available for this or?
She was rushing home to join us. I believe she may be on. And if there's any questions, I'm sure between she and I, we can graciously
Ms. Koo?
answer. Oh, she just joined.
Okay. Council, do we have any questions on the financial summary for Ms. Koo or for Mr. Garcia?
She just sent me a message stating that she's having trouble with sound. So I will do the best to interpret what she may have. Any questions? in technology.
I
Okay.
don't have any questions.
Do you have
right
any questions?
I have
Joe?
no questions.
Before I step out, no questions. I just want to say, is this the one with all the graphs and everything?
Yes, sir.
This is the best report I've seen since I've been here, right? That's what I've been asking for. Exactly. Visible, something visible, graphs. And I don't necessarily understand all the numbers right now because I'm gone through it, right? I've got my questions.
Certainly.
But this is what I've been looking for.
And at the close of the presentation, for any residents who have any specific questions about the report, on behalf of Ms. Susie, she's more than welcome to entertain any questions on it and to address any concerns that obviously council or residents, anybody would have on that report.
It definitely shows that we're a growing city.
It does. It does.
Big time, yeah.
Any questions for Ms. Susie? Okay, we will move now to new business. Item 13.1, quarterly investments. Ms. Susie.
I'll go ahead and respond for her in case she's not able to. And essentially, this is your quarterly report on the city's investments, and we'll entertain any questions on that as well.
Are we needing to approve this, Gus? Kara answered already. You're a little slow, Gus. I'm teasing. If there are no questions, then we'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the.
Is there a second?
investment.
So moved.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Show the motion passes 4-0 with Mayor Pro Tem unavailable and out of the meeting. Item 13.2, Seth Grant, Caesar.
Yes, sir. This was an opportunity that was brought to us by our friends at Seth. They came and presented a few months back. We've been allotted a amount of $50,000. And listening to what the residents had mentioned as far as some of the needs for housing. In the past, about approximately 3 years ago, we received these funds under then Mayor Hawking, and a decision by that council was made to allocate those funds to assist in building a home for a veteran. To my knowledge, this time around, we're gracious enough to receive $50,000. Some of the requests that have been made have been assistance with like a rental assistance program of such. If need be, or senior rental assistance, as well as a possibility for folks that may have endured a fire or any other form of possibility to help in that matter. So I wanted to share that with you guys, that the letter of the appointment is enclosed, as well as any conversation you may have as to how you may want to allocate those funds. I did suggest that we maybe spread that out because there is a large amount of need, maybe stretch it out over 2 years. And the three areas were to assist in any rebuilding of homes. We know there's been some homes that need to be rebuilt or any type of repairs necessary for seniors, fire assistance to be a certain amount, as well as rental assistance. Those numbers are obviously all interchangeable. We've already completed the application. There's just two things we're missing. in what time frame we plan on using the funds, which is why I've spread it out or suggested over 2 years, and what denominations and how we intend to use them, like what functions they would be.
Yeah, let's put about 5 minutes, Kyle, on this. It is up to council to manipulate these numbers. There's $50,000 worth of grant funding. There are 3 categories. There could possibly be more, so long as they are limited to home repair, development, things of that nature. I would be more comfortable with a senior rental assistance program, knowing that seniors have paid their dues and knowing that seniors are on fixed incomes. I think that it would probably go over better in our community if we add that senior designation. But it's open. And I think that we probably need to add more to fire assistance. But that's just me. I'm opening the floor to council so that we can all add to this consideration.
I don't feel particularly strongly one way or another. I think all of these categories sound great. I would assume that the rental assistance would also help seniors, like they would be eligible, but I'm in favor if any one of y'all felt very strongly about taking away one of those categories and beefing up one of the others, that's fine with me. It's only $50,000, so I want us to
Right.
$50,000 that can make a very big impact to a lot of people, but it's also, I just want us to not deliberate too long on it. But I'm in favor of what you suggested, and I like the idea of spreading it out over 2 years. That gives a little bit of relief to and I very much like that all of this will be done through partner agencies. And have we already spoken to these partner agencies, Cesar? Do you know, like, for sure they're on board to do something like that?
Yeah, I see, we have a representative from one of them that
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know how that process works as far as the American Red Cross. I have had brief discussions with Habitat for Humanities to assist in some ways.
Okay.
I'm sure that we'd be more than willing to be on board to receive some funds to be spread out. And I have reached out to the Salvation Army. They're always willing and able to assist in that.
Okay. Because I think
In that capacity.
the biggest thought that I do have about this is making sure that this doesn't, as good as this is that this doesn't turn into something that is a large drain on staff time. Like
Right.
y'all sussing through applications and deciding who, because it also is not really the place of city staff to decide who's worthy, right? So
And to your point, Casey, I believe these funds will be allocated by a third party.
right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I like that. And I just want to
Yeah.
reiterate that is very important to me. That's maybe the only thing I care strongly about. So
Very good. Kim?
I'm in favor of the program. And as far as who gets it, I remember we were talking about seniors. I don't have a problem with that either. I just know there's a lot of single households that are suffering too. But I guess to make it easier, I guess not easier. But I'm good with any way we decide to do it. I do know though, we need to try to help our citizens in the area of rental assistance, especially since that's such a big issue right now.
Okay, Michael,
Sir?
do you have any comments on this item?
No, I think it's a great program and I think the city manager's got an eye of where it's needed. I agree, rental assistance, utility assistance and fire assistance. To me, that would be great.
Does anybody have any heartburn with adding maybe another 2,500 each year for fire assistance? And the reason I'm saying that, and I can go either way, doesn't matter to me. But I do know that sometimes we have homes that burn in our community. Those homeowners don't have homeowners insurance, and those homes are destroyed to the point that they have to be demolished. Now, we're not talking about homes that can be repaired, because that's not any of our purview. But when those homes become public nuisances, health issues, safety issues, it's incumbent upon us to mitigate those issues. And so that's the only thing I would say, maybe add another 5,025 for each year to that particular line item. But I can go again either way, doesn't matter to me. but I think we need to make a decision in 43 seconds.
I'm fine with that. Where would you propose taking it out
Um,
of rental assistance?
We can take it out of rental assistance, or rebuilding homes. I don't know how far $5,000 will get you on a home rebuild. I'd say take it out of rebuilding homes and put it in the fire assistance. Leave rental assistance as it is. Let's, in my offering, let's see how far we get with seniors. There are a lot of seniors in our community that are suffering. Go ahead, Jeff.
If someone can answer this, I'm not aware that this can be used for rental assistance. It's a housing initiative. Unless you specifically have.
I specifically asked the funding agency, and that was one of the things that they said would be allowable. Now I could go back and confirm that and get it. I mean, it was over the phone. That I converted, that I had that conversation, but I could find out and make sure.
I'm looking at the letter again. It says the board of directors respectively request that none of these funds be allocated to your general revenues and are used specifically to provide affordable housing initiatives. So, but
And technically rental assistance qualified under that. One of those
Okay.
initiatives.
Gus,
I'll go along with whatever you guys would do.
you have an interpretation?
I mean, I would defer to the Seth people on that. They're going to be able.
I think we'll,
And I think,
we'll find out if they don't.
well, and I think with all due respect, we've been very clear. Mr. Garcia has been very clear with them how we're spending this money. So
Okay, cool.
We're proposing.
yes.
Well, I propose, in deference to the mayor's suggestion, why don't we pull 2,500 per year? Let's pull a total of $5,000 from the rebuilding homes line item and add it to fire assistance spread over the course of 2 years. And then leave
Gotcha.
your rental assistance line item the same. Was that clear?
Very good.
And then I'm in
And
favor.
if I may, and we could add caveat while we're here, that if the funds are not used, knock on wood, we don't have too many fires. If there's funds left unused, then at that point it could be reallocated.
To one of the other line items. Absolutely. That's
Just,
fair.
if we could.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because
That's fair.
hopefully.
We won't have any fires. Right,
Right.
right. That's fair. I will entertain a second. Casey made a
I'm
motion.
Sorry, did you guys want that motion to include changing that
Line item.
rental? Yes, the
Senior, yes.
the senior to seniors.
yes.
Okay, just, are you comfortable with that amendment? 'Cause
Senior
it's your
rental
motion.
assistance. Yes. Oh, Casey, are you comfortable with that?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item,
Let me say something to that, just in
Go ahead.
case, because I know we decided for this particular self-grant for senior rental housing, but let the record reflect that Joe and I are going to look into rental assistance to
Absolutely.
HVAC as well.
absolutely.
So-
Through grant funding from
For grant
HVAC?
funding.
Absolutely.
That's great.
I think that a good community, I'll say this very quickly, Casey, a good community takes care of their children and their seniors. I think that's a good thing. Item 13.3, naming policy, setting guidelines for naming rights of city property. Is this a Caesar or a Councilwoman Yancey led discussion?
Can I just give?
Go ahead, start.
Essentially what we've done is through some digging, we noticed that we already have somewhat of a naming policy that exists for parks, benches and trees being named after an individual. We also pulled a sample that we liked from the city of Houston on renaming of facilities. The only thing missing would be streets. What it would allow us to do is maybe compile them all together. If you like what was presented to you as a sample that we could use as kind of a guiding light, we can come back and bring that discussion to you later. Kara, I know you worked on this as well.
Yes, so we do currently have, I think since 2015, a policy for naming park benches and trees. But in that sample item, I know there's one that says sample policies. It's actually a combination of multiple cities' policies, just so you guys can kind of see how they do the framework for theirs. Including, I believe Texas City has a really nice form in there that tells you gives you a little bit more of a clear breakdown of what they charge, what it entails.
I think we need to check, I believe back in the late nineties, Danny Phillips pushed to name Lake Road, James, after Martin Luther King. I believe there was an ordinance drafted after that event. So if we would look back in the late nineties, we might find some sort of street renaming ordinance or policy somewhere.
I say I was there. I kind of remember that. Didn't it say that the other side of Cedar was going to be called MLK past the railroad track or something like that?
It said the other side of Cedar.
Or apricot, something. I kind of remember.
Yeah. But no, before that, it was Lake Road between Cedar and Texas.
And my only
Yeah.
observation in this, once again, the small size city, it's expensive to rename streets. It's my only observation. And getting.
And I believe that ordinance, that policy call for every member, every address on that particular street to vote in the affirmative or to sign a petition of some sort. Doesn't mean it can't be amended. I'm just saying it's something, it's one that's floating out there. We probably need to look for.
We'll do our diligence to search back in the nineties for renaming of Lake Road, Cedar, or any portion of Apricot. As far as MLK, see, we could use that as some guiding light, if you will.
Thank
and
you.
Incorporate some of the newer policies.
Anything else we need to do with the naming policy other than?
If we like the direction we're heading in and
Okay.
we got added research, then we can bring something back to it.
Any other requests for Cesar about the naming policy? Are we okay with
No,
it?
I just
Go
think,
ahead.
you know, we have a lot of history in Lamarck that we have not set in stone. And I think it's time that we memorialize some of our heroes that come out, especially now that Juneteenth is a federal holiday. We're trying to get a spot on the Emancipation Trail. Well, to do that, you got to make sure that you know your history. And a lot of our especially our new residents, they don't know the history that we have here in Lamarck. So that's why this naming policy and talking about the first female senator in the entire state of Texas is from our little town, and nobody knows that, is a travesty. So that's why I think this is important that we begin to legitimize our history even more.
I agree. Very good. We'll be awaiting the full policy, Cesar, in the next few meetings. Item 13 for CDBG MIT mod allocation project, authorizing the development and preparation of the CDG MIT regional method of distribution application for water improvements within Area 6, according to our presentation tonight, and Area 7. According to our presentation tonight, that is Census Tract 7262, Block Group 2, as notated in the 2016 water distribution study, including preliminary engineering design required for the project. These are the two worst areas in our city as it relates to water distribution infrastructure, and they are in District D. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Yes,
Is there a second?
second.
Any further discussion?
Is it 6 and 7 or 7 and 8?
Actually, I wanted just to comment on that. So it's whatever all of 7 and whatever portion of 6 would be able to do as part of this. 8 was part of a separate amount of funds that we have not brought to you yet. That will bring that to you whenever we submit our first round of ARPA recommendations.
What's the dollar figure on this one?
This one right now is roughly, again, we're guesstimating off of 2016 prices, but with inflation, we project 3.9 in that area.
So 3.9 in our Area 6 and Area 7 to rehab our water delivery.
Primarily 7 and
Okay.
as much as 6 as budget will allow.
That's District D. For those of you that are listening, District D will be getting, if we vote, $3.9 million of water infrastructure improvements. Yay, Casey. Yeah, that's right. Any further discussion? You good, Caesar?
Yes.
Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 13.5, city tax assessor, considering possible options for tax assessment and collection services for the city of Lamarck. Is that that's a Caesar? Okay.
Yes, and I see that Ms. Susie is on, so if she's able to help us, essentially, by the direction of council, you asked us to look at our current services, and we essentially have four options. Option A would be to continue with our current county assessor assessing our taxes. Option B would be for us to take that on our own and hire in-house staff to do that moving forward. Option C would be for us to hire an outside entity to handle it for us. Another option that was presented to us as we were vetting different processes was the fact that TCISD would likely be welcome to taking on that process for us. They do assess, they do their own, if you will, in-house. So they're very capable of doing so. And the other part is that a large portion of our current students do attend TCISD school. So it does fall in line. So a lot of the data that would be necessary would be there. So as was declared in the agenda form that was presented to you, we are presenting those four options to you for consideration. We also have a copy of the previous agreements that have been signed dating back to 2012, 2018, and the latest resolution that was passed in 2019 for your backup documentation. And essentially, it's just going over the options as to what they cost. We do not have a total cost for what we project that the TCISD option would look like, but we do have a pretty good estimate as to what we expect it to be.
Okay.
It's pretty compelling to go with TCISD. That's what I would say.
Well, I will entertain a motion.
So, well.
You want to discuss? You want to wait till?
Just a quick question.
Go ahead.
Just to be clear, TCISD will do all the properties in the city limits of Lamarck,
Yes, sir.
not the school district.
Correct.
Okay. So, and that's all 10,834.
All current 10,830.
And they will send out what is it specifically that they will be doing?
So essentially, most of the process includes the actual worksheet and everything that's tied to it as far as the assessment. The other portion, obviously, for the posting of our assessment, as does TCISD and other entities that have other forms of doing their assessment, they would still rely on the county to post them for you, but you would just present them what you would, whatever your assessment is deemed to be final.
So that is entitled for, I think we're talking, I'm confused. Are we talking about the process of collecting, they can't assess our taxes,
Right.
but they can, you're actually suggesting that they collect our taxes? Or are you just asking that they certify our tax calculation sheet? What is it that we're talking about?
This would be certifying our actual sheet. And in this case, they would assess and collect. I'm sorry, because I'm trying to, Susie's having technical difficulties, so I'm trying to, you're getting her fixed. She's trying to get in right now. But they would, we can post ourselves and they would assess and collect in this case.
But
do we want them to collect?
no, I just to clarify, I think we need some clarity there. The tax assessor collector is the only one that could do the assessments.
Unless I'm reading this wrong, I'm sorry.
That's
If by assessment you mean valuation,
yeah,
so the valuation is actually set by the appraisal district.
exactly.
Right. Yeah, that's not what that's not what the county tax assessor does. That's not what TCISD is going to do. Setting the value.
Is entitled for assessing, it says right here, it's entitled, the letter from Cheryl Johnson here says, the tax assessor collector is entitled to a reasonable fee which may not exceed the actual cost incurred for assessing and collecting taxes for a taxing unit.
Where is where is that letter?
One
That's
is
one of the
assessing
attachments.
taxes
Yeah.
and one is assessing value.
Right. Establishing the value is done by the central appraisal district. So when you get a letter when you protest your taxes, you go to the central appraisal district. If you're talking about actually sending out the notices, you owe this much money because the city, the county, the drainage district, the school district, any other ad valorem taxing agency in the county, that is currently the city of Lamar uses the Galveston County Tax Assessor's Office for that. I believe what is being proposed is to utilize TCISD, and I may be out, but I believe the way it works is you would get a separate notice from TCISD with how much you owe for their taxes.
You do get a separate.
Right.
TCISD.
Well, now that would include the city of Lamarck. TCISD would be sending those out for the city of Lamarck as well. As to your second question regarding the tax rate as a whole, it is ultimately on the city, or the city certifies its tax number.
So
The city in the past has utilized outside entities to do that, as a number of small municipalities do. That's not unique. What management is proposing to do is utilize a different outside entity to assist the city in its calculations required under the law. Those would then be presented to the council for certification.
which is envisioned under this new relationship with TCISD.
Yes.
Did you say the city certifies the rolls? I thought the tax assessor did.
Certifies the numbers, not the rolls, but the rates.
Okay.
It's technically the taxing entities that does that
Okay. Thank you.
in assistance with outside parties.
And Mr. Osteen, you may remember this. We used to collect our own taxes here in Lamarck. We pay them. Then the ISD paid its own taxes too. Yeah, we used to come.
I was just saying, I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with contracting with TCISD.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 13.6, lien amnesty program, setting guidelines for citywide lien amnesty program. Caesar.
As been brought in the past, we've had a lot of discussion on this point. Currently, a large sum amount that we have of the lien amounts that we have throughout the city could potentially be preventing either sale of the property or anything to be done with the property. We've brought forward this opportunity to address some of those needs, so you don't have to hear them on a case by case basis through this program. I showed you a sample of one that's been done before. The percentages are up to your discretion as to what amount. To the point that was made by residents, we are not proposing for any hard cost to ever be waived. It would be any of the auxiliary costs, being primarily the administrative fee, whatever percentage you deem fit, and whatever amount of the interest that you would deem fit. And the only time that anybody would qualify for such a program would be after they took care of their abatement. So meaning they completed their nuisance abatement, they're now off of it. They have promised that they are going to stay compliant, and they only get a one-time use of this. So they can't be a repeat offender. We're still working on the logistics of it and the language of it. I brought you a sample of it for your review. And we wanted your direction if you want us to continue going on this route, to look at this moving forward, so you don't have to be addressed with these, because the hope is to get all these land folks that are in this predicament and have liens on them, to get them to, one, take care of their liens, and two, hopefully either develop or do whatever they're going to do with their properties. Okay.
You are looking for percentages from us tonight.
One, do we want to keep going down this rate, and did you want us to address that in any capacity? Or at least to start the process, because there's still a lot of research needs to be done. I know Ms. Kathleen's in the back. We probably would not be ready to bring you something even partially formal till December or January, but we want to at least start the process and let you know where we
So
are.
what do you need from us tonight?
Direction, if you want us to keep going down this route, do you like the way this is? Do you want to even pursue this?
Okay. Let's give Caesar some feedback. Do we like the road that he's going down? Do we like the work that he's done? so far?
Yes, as long as we can recoup all taxpayer money. Beyond that, the interest, I mean, to me, we could totally wipe that out. As long as we get the taxpayer money back, I'm happy with it because that's taxpayer money.
Yeah, I like the copy of this initial draft. I would like
Okay.
to see y'all do more of
Yeah.
that. So,
And we'll bring you options, what that looks like, examples, without putting exactly which, parcel that would include, but just for examples, for purposes of what that would look like.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Joe, you good?
Yeah.
Kim?
Yeah.
I'm with Joe. I'm teasing. You got direction?
Yes, sir.
All
Thank
right,
you.
let's move to 13.7. Donation boxes, discussion regarding regulating donation boxes within the city limits. I know for a fact that I got bombarded. I'm sure Councilwoman Yancey did as well. Perhaps even Casey, since it's her district, with reports of a donation box or someone dumping items around a donation box, and I happened to see the mess. But it caused a ruckus in the northern portions of our city for about 5 or 6 hours one day. And so we have an issue with those boxes. This isn't the first time. Very quickly, council, we can do one of several things. We can potentially ask Gus if we could ban those boxes, or we can ask if there's some way that we can put teeth into some ordinance or policy that will allow us to either assess, fine, or something of that. Go ahead, Gus, help us.
Yes, if the council has this deems that donation boxes have become a nuisance, that while they are good in theory, they have become issues have arisen that they attract illegal dumping, for lack of a better term. The council could undertake a program whereby it regulates them and charges a fee, those sorts of things to allow the city to better police the appearance and more so the area around it to ensure that it's not becomes unkempt and create a code issue that would otherwise be dealt with. The city of Lamarque, if it chose to do that, would not be unique. The city of Houston has a program. Cities in North Texas have programs where they do this exact same, where they do this, where they have this type of program. So it would not be new to Lamarque. While it would be new to Lamarque, it would not be new to Texas municipalities.
So the choice is to go from a complete ban to perhaps some sort of ordinance that will help us to regulate those. With those ordinances, then, if we do come across as code enforcement, code compliance, if we come across illegal dumping, with those ordinances or that ordinance, would it allow us to go on the private property and mitigate those issues?
It could, I mean, your code enforcement is going to have the same rules that it has for the state of Texas that we have to do with all of our code enforcement. Illegal dumping is still a crime. What this is really doing is allowing the city to get some sort of control over and allow it a way to police and clean and recoup some funds in cleaning these up, essentially.
Awesome. Go ahead, Joe.
A business that wants to have this. Usually it's a nonprofit group box.
Right.
Drop.
Right.
If they want to, do they come to us? Kathleen, no, they do it on their own, huh? So we're not involved in that. How many spots do we have? They're for profit? Well, I think that's one area. If we're going to do a policy, it should be nonprofit.
Nonprofit, yeah.
Well, and the other thing this does is give us more teeth to revoke the right to have one. So if we have a repeat offender, essentially, we can tell them, now you can't have a donation box anymore. It's
Yeah.
become
Um,
a nuisance.
I just would like to say, I feel like, thank you, Ms. Van Stavern, for giving us, she gave us some
That's exactly what I.
very important info here for us to look at. And I feel like with all due respect to her and the research and the time that she put into this and her many years of experience here, and also in deference to the recent kerfuffle, I love the idea of us having a reason, it's always good to have things written down, right? And, there's folks who have interest in having these boxes that I think that leads very easily into, you have to pay a permit fee in order to have a box. But it shouldn't require inspections. It should be something that's very minimal, I think, tracking effort from our staff, because code compliance already has a lot to do. But I like the idea of, we have all their information down. If there's a problem, it's much easier for code compliance to get in touch with them. And if it's possible to have something in that permit fee that does allow for us to say, like, if you are a repeat offender, or if we find you to be a disrespectful, guardian of this box, then you're not allowed to have a box anymore. End of story.
Yes, and that would be something this city has done in the past with other items, is if you're a repeat offender, we revoke the permit.
Yeah.
And that is also common across this area.
So, and I do know that, the box, I actually wasn't privy to all of the complaints that I thank you guys for shouldering. But I've seen it over time, and every once in a while there is those donation boxes can be a nuisance. But then I do know from experience, because I've spoken to code compliance before, and noticed they always act on it really quickly. So I feel confident that we don't need to make a massive adjustment here, at least in my opinion.
That's fine. An ordinance to regulate boxes, giving us the teeth to go in.
To create a permit process.
Yeah.
Yeah, and charge a fee, where then they're
So long as
listed.
if there is any illegal dumping, that we're able to go in quickly. And you're saying, Gus, and we didn't think about this, but you're saying that's a crime. So that was a crime. We could have immediately went and resolved that issue.
Well, illegal dumping is a crime, whether.
Did you see it? Did you see it? It was a mattress out there, was it not?
There at 8 o'clock that morning, talking to Pilgrims over that box before all the social media came out.
Mhm.
So there is more background to that particular case, which I think was touched on social media. There is a panel truck that's going around and doing this at different donation boxes, and this company feels like it's a competitor. And we've heard that from other cities too. That's what's going on. And that's particularly what happened here, is that there were no cameras to catch it.
Yeah.
If we had something more in stone that we could do, we'd still have to give them some notice. We can't just go and say, hey, you're done. We've got to give them notice. So, but we do need more teeth to be able to do something. Or something.
Yeah.
That's why I made those suggestions to try to help council with.
The main thing is to know where they are, to have a fee so that we can have staff give small amounts of attention. And thirdly, if there is, I saw it and I think it was illegal dumping. Wouldn't you say so?
In that case, it was.
Right. So then it was a crime. Right. So
The other thing is too, is that we've not had that many issues with these boxes. We had one that was down in Collins, that was behind there, and it was removed.
Mhm.
And then we've had this one twice now. So this is not something we're doing on a daily basis, just so you know. It may seem that way, but it's not something that code has to deal with very often. But it would be nice to have some kind of teeth.
So let's, so council, do we want to, give direction, or have we given enough direction to Gus to begin the writing of an ordinance that would?
And I think I have enough direction.
Thank you, sir. I'm ready to move on. All right, council, are we ready to move?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
13-8, upcoming events. Caesar.
Great. we've got Arbor Day event coming up on November 19th. As you know already, we've mentioned several times tonight, we have our special meeting coming up on the 21st. We have our annual Thanksgiving closure. I'd be remiss if we don't get a chance, well, we see everybody next Monday, so, but to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving. I'd like to formally announce our Christmas parade that's coming up and all the festivities we have planned. We are still accepting folks to be part of the Christmas parade, so I know something's been going out and been posted on our website and will continue to go out.
So where do they go for that?
It is on our city's website, Kyle. I don't know if you want to chime in. I know JB was also putting something together to put more information out as far as that.
Did they call the chamber?
Yes, they would call the chamber. They would connect on that. We also have it available online, and I'll have Kyle share it here shortly on the screen as far as the flyer and how to get more participation information on that. Lastly, we have something we scheduled on December 8th, a volunteer appreciation dinner to take place. And then we have our regular meeting coming up December 12th. We have a lot of festivities between now and less than a month from now.
Very good. Before we get into items good for the good of the order, we have one other item that we added late. And this is a resolution. It is on the, we're not doing this one? Never mind. Okay.
We're gonna bring it back next Monday.
You bring it
I
back
have,
next.
I will, hold on, just for point of clarification, if we can address that really quickly, just to address it, we're not going to vote on it tonight, but I want to just address it for the sake of anybody listening.
Is this posted?
It is posted. It's on the item that was posted, but there's a problem with it.
Hold on, Cesar. Is this a posted agenda item? Gus?
The item was posted. I do not know the time, but if you look at the bottom, it says there's a typo that lists it was posted today, which would not be in accordance with the open meeting.
Okay, so can Cesar continue talking about this or no?
It's not noticed. So
So he cannot continue talking about this, but you can, Cesar, if Gus says so, talk about it in the good of the order. Can you do that, Gus?
It will be.
I'm not a lawyer, so he says no. I'm sorry. 13.9 items for the good of the order. We will start with Michael.
First off, I want to thank the city manager, all your staff that put in hours of work on that, on the water plan. I know you guys spent a long time, so I appreciate that. To the Parks Board, I appreciate the hard work you guys did for the master park plan, and for it to be noticed by Texas Wildlife. That speaks volumes about the hard work y'all put into it. And I highly encourage everyone to get involved in your city. We have a lot of people that have already volunteered, but we are one Lamarque and we should volunteer every chance we can, whether it's Little League Baseball, whether it's girls softball, whether it's one of the boards or commissions, or just helping out doing stuff around City Hall if the volunteer opportunity arises. So, and I can't forget the CPAAA. So I appreciate them and the time that they give up. So I just want to say to everyone, thank you for all your hard work. To the staff, as always, thank you for what you do, and thank you for all your hard work. And that's all I have today.
Thank you, Michael.
I don't have anything.
Thank you to staff and the volunteers as always. Thank you.
Okay, what I would like to see is that community heart and soul grant that I told you about. That I found that kind of talks about community healing. It's called the Community Heart and Soul. I just emailed that to you again as a gentle reminder. Last couple of months have been, let me just be nice and say tender. But we are going to go forward and concentrate on the business. There are so many exciting things that are happening in our city that are getting ready to happen. I'm so excited about what is about to manifest in our area. And I hope you share that excitement, and by getting more involved. And for those that are listening, but are not here, we have so much to be thankful for in this season and so much to be grateful for. Congratulations to our mayor for hanging in there and still providing leadership to the city as we take it to the next level. There's, let me say this before I forget, this coming Saturday, along with Arbor Day on Saturday, there's a giveaway for HEB cards, gift cards, and raffles at the Mainland Shopping Center Spree in Texas City from 12 to 3 p.m. I know Lady Fatima is having a community Thanksgiving meal, and then Abundant Life on Wednesday before Thanksgiving, they're doing their praise and pie. So there's a lot of good community events, and some of us haven't been able to participate in those type of events since COVID. So this season is going to be a season of reconciliation and peace and people coming together. And I hope that our board members and people that volunteer really make an effort to reestablish relationships with our neighbors that perhaps we have not been talking to because of this contentious season this political season that we've been in. But, I believe that that at the end of the day, I want to be able to look at my neighbors and call them a friend. And so I really encourage us to do that in this season that we're still here. And I think that is all. I'm just want to give you a great anticipation about what the next 12 months will be in our city. And I'm so excited. And thank you, council, for allowing me to be the neophyte of this great group. And thank you so much, Cesar and Kyle and Gus and Kathleen, and I don't want to say, and Rick and everyone. You guys have really done well, staying together, staying positive, and remembering the goals of the city and the deliverables of the city. And thank you for remembering our children on those days when it got a little tough. We saw the cohesiveness. I did anyway. Just coming here and seeing how you guys stuck together. I really appreciate that. Now, we know everybody's not going to be able to stay or go the whole mile with us, but I just appreciate that you guys are really trying to help our city to achieve great things and put us on the map. I mean, when you think about everything we've accomplished, even just being all the community grants that we've gotten for our police, there's a lot to be thankful for. The things that we can start bragging about our city. That's why it's important to me that I wanted you to see the clap back when they see that most of the crime done at Walmart was not by our citizens, but by other people. So when they say some things about Lamarque, you can give them not your opinion, but you can give them some data that you can stand on. So, and that's what I want to make sure that we begin to reclaim our positive identity that Lamarque was back in the day. And I hope that we'll have an even greater identity of coming together as our councilman says, as one Lamarque. And thank you so much for the opportunity to serve you during this season.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Very special thanks to all of those who participated in our second annual Veterans Day breakfast. It was another success. And I want to also thank the Lamarque firefighters that were on duty that day. I believe they cooked the breakfast. And so we want to thank them for their hospitality and for their effort. They didn't have to do those things, but they did it because they care. Other than that, I want to publicly thank all of those who voted in this latest election. Your vote matters. I appreciate you regardless of the way that you chose to vote. Those of you, and I'll be brief tonight on this because I won't say a whole lot until we canvass the votes. But what I will say is this: those of you that voted against the recall, thank you for your support. I pray that I'm able to continue in a way that would continue your support of my role as mayor. For those of you that voted for the recall, I want to apologize to you because I have not communicated effectively who I am, my passion for the city and my vision for our future. And I take that responsibility upon myself. And so those folks that voted for the recall, I look forward to having a conversation with you in whatever venue I possibly can, that you would get to know me, get to know my heart, and get to know my vision for our community. I look forward to those days. Having said that, I will leave the rest of it for next Monday. And I think we are moving now to our executive session. Council, again, thank you all for being here. Thank you for the work that you do. We'll move now. Item 14. I say, Caesar, did you have anything? I'm sorry.
I just wanted to comment also briefly, because it was so back to back. Same morning of the Veterans Day breakfast, we were invited to the groundbreaking.
We sure was. Thank you.
So I wanted to remind you about that if you want to go ahead and mention that.
We are excited to be a part of the groundbreaking ceremony for a new church, Word Power Church. It's my son's church. I forgot the name of it. God. forgive me. Word Power Church on the old Highlands Elementary grounds. They're going to have walking trails for our community, a softball field, and
Some form of community center festivities, park festivities.
some form of community center, veterans, I think, park to honor the veterans, servicemen and women of our community. We look forward to seeing great things from them. Item 14, executive session. The City Council of the City of Lamarque, Texas reserves the right to adjourn into executive session at any time during this meeting to discuss any of the matters listed above as authorized by Texas Government Code Section 551.071. Consultation with attorney, 551.072, deliberations about real property, 551.073, deliberations about gifts and donations, 551.074, personnel matters, 076, deliberations about security devices, 551.086, economic development. Tonight, we will be under section 551.071, consultation with attorney for civil action, number looks like 321 CV 314, Todd Weidman versus the City of Lamarque in the Southern District of Texas, Galveston Division, and item 14.2, section 551.071, consultation with attorney, threatened legal litigation by the estate of Joshua Feast. We will now recess from our regularly scheduled meeting into our executive session at
9:13.
9:13. We are back. We are reopening our regular scheduled meeting at
9:20.
9:20. Let the record reflect the executive session closed at 9:20. We're reopening our regular meeting at 9:20. I will entertain a motion on, let me re-get the sheet. On item 15.1, section 551.071, civil action, Todd Wyman versus the city of Lamar. I'll entertain a motion.
I motion that we approve the settlement as proposed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have no action on item 551.071, threatened litigation by the estate of Joshua Feast, and so I'll move to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 We stand adjourned.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all.